Hey guys! This is part 7 of What If Naruto Was One of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start! Chapter 31, Broken Crest, Naka River. Naruto solemnly sat upon a small hill near its cliff overlooking the famous Naka River of the Leaf Village. It was deep within the Uchiha clan's territory and was the reason why most shinobi didn't bother approaching here. Since most of the Uchiha were fighting on the front lines, there had been only a few novices patrolling the sector whom he had easily avoided. He had also concealed his chakra signature in order to hide himself from Tobirama, who had been chasing after him for the past couple of hours. He didn't know what the man was thinking by desiring to confront him after learning the lies told by his own students. There was also another reason as to why he had came here, and when he was sure there was no one else in the immediate vicinity, he made his move. "If you are there, then show yourself, Zetsu," he announced, hoping he had pronounced the strange plant-like creature's name properly, one that had used the Edo Tensei, and had been Madara's accomplice at Nagi Island. He doubted Madara would dare infiltrate the leaf, but the same couldn't be applied to his accomplice, whose chakra signature was completely undetectable, as Naruto had learned himself in the past battle. He looked around and was not surprised when nobody answered his call. Still, he didn't back down, and stood his ground. "I have no time for games. If you are there and do not show yourself this instant, then I am out of here." His threat worked as the black plant-like creature rose from the ground right behind the blonde, much to his shock, as he hadn't even sensed its presence even when it was this close to his position. He gripped his sword in a reflex as his red eyes came alive. "Your eyes have changed." "Madara turned out to be right after all," said Zetsu in a mildly surprised voice. "What is his goal, and why is he so fixated on me?" asked Naruto seriously. "He asked me to keep an eye on you ever since you left Nagi Island. That's why I followed you all this way. Hope you now know the truth of what happened to your wife and child," whispered Zetsu with a knowing smile, making the blonde clench his fists. "You are only trying to use me for your own goals," said Naruto bitterly. "Then why are you approaching us?" countered Zetsu curiously, which made Naruto lower his gaze. "You have something that I want. If you can give me that, then I at least want to understand what it would cost me," answered Naruto truthfully. "You want us to bring your loved ones back to life?" confirmed Zetsu, earning a nod from the blonde. "We can do that, but there will be a price for that." "How?" asked Naruto suspiciously. "With the Rinnegan, of course." Madara possessed the eyes that once belonged to the Sage of Six Paths. Its power goes beyond the realm of life and death, even allowing its wielder to bring the dead back to life, albeit at the cost of one's life force, revealed Zetsu patiently. "Impossible! The Sage of Six Paths and the Rinnegan are just myths," rebuffed Naruto hotly, earning a sigh from the strange creature. "Every myth originated from a reality once. The sage did exist, and so did his powers." Naruto listened as Zetsu told him about the origins of chakra, of how it was stolen from a sacred fruit that grew upon a tree a long time ago. He had to control himself from laughing out loud when Zetsu mentioned that it was an Otsutsuki that had stolen that power. Kage had been her name. She went on to stop all fighting among humanity, and became the goddess and supreme ruler of the world. She lost her way over a period of time and terrorized the very same people she had once saved from the sacred tree that had assumed the form of the 10 Tails in order to recover the power stolen from it by Kage. Ultimately, her own sons had to stop her madness. She was killed in battle alongside one of her sons, while the other inherited her power and taught Nishu to the world in order to guide it towards a peaceful future. That man was the Sage of Six Paths, whose peaceful teachings would then be turned into ninjutsu by humanity. His end came sooner than expected, and the 10 tails he had sealed inside of him was distributed into 9-tailed beasts across the world to prevent that monster from ever reforming and destroying the world. In order to ensure humanity followed a peaceful path, the sage chose his younger son out of the two he had, one who preferred love over the older one's path of power. It led to an endless conflict that continued for centuries as the brothers and their descendants battled each other to inherit the rightful position they deemed to be theirs. "You carry the blood of both noble bloodlines in you. The Uchiha and Senju, your powers are unique." Madara was only able to awaken the Rinnegan when he stole Senju Hashirama's power in their final battle, and only by combining both Uchiha and Senju bloodline was that divine eye awakened once again. "You are the only one who can truly inherit Madara's will and powers. Most of all, you two are a lot alike. Madara loved his family just like you loved yours. When it was destroyed, he truly sought to change the world and unite mankind by force if required, so that it does not face complete annihilation when the Otsutsuki arrived to destroy our world," explained Zetsu patiently. Even if it seemed a bit far-fetched, Naruto was able to better understand as to why Madara was so interested in him. Granted, he was a veteran shinobi and capable of leading armies, but that alone hadn't been enough for the level of interest the Uchiha had favored upon him. What is his plan? He asked seriously. Zetsu looked at him skeptically for a few long moments, but he didn't back away, which made the creature relent in the end with a heavy sigh. When the sage died, he not only created the Biju but also distributed small essence of his chakra across the world into every living being. We want to gather all the tailed beasts and reform the 10 tails. Madara wants to become the jinchuriki of that beast, and with its powers, he will unleash a new jutsu that will cast away the past, said Zetsu proudly. Explain, stated Naruto suspiciously. People cannot understand one another if they cannot see each other's hearts. By using the 10 tails powers and the chakra present among all living beings, Madara wants to join humanity's consciousness to him and each other. Each person would be connected to one another and be able to feel each other's emotions. All their thoughts will be linked to Madara. With such powers we can put an end to the continuous wars. Imagine, if a person wants to kill another person, each of them would be able to feel that malice, and so would Madara. It allows an opportunity to end conflicts before it ever occurs, said Zetsu. But that's the power of a god. No human should have such power, protested Naruto vehemently, earning a sinister chuckle from the creature in front of him. And what did your ideals get you except for betrayal, Naruto Namikaze? For the first time in his life, Naruto had no righteous answer. He had tried so hard his entire life to achieve peace for his loved ones. Now almost all of them were dead except for him, and that goal was still nothing more than a wishful dream. Yuzu was still not safe and had betrayed him time and again despite him sacrificing everything for its future. If the fighting in the world doesn't stop, then sometimes a man has to become a god to make it stop. Just like the sage had to do it in his time to save the world. Madara, and you have to do it this time, for you are the saviors of humanity. Evil shall always triumph when good men do nothing, said Zetsu solemnly. I have no real power except for my service to offer Madara. Don't assume I can ask Kiri forces to fight for your cause. They all are bound to their Mizukage, and I am not that man, replied Naruto in a vain last effort, earning another chuckle from the creature. You may think so now and will be right to keep a low profile. But the future is unpredictable, said Zetsu cryptically with a mysterious smile. What do you mean? Questioned the blonde suspiciously. He was surprised when the creature started sinking back into the earth, but its eyes were still fixated upon him. All your questions shall be answered in due time. For now continue serving Kiri. When the time comes we will ask for your help. If you answer that call, Madara has promised to bring Ino Yamanaka back to life first. If you still choose to stand against us, then we shall destroy you completely. Naruto moved forward to stop the creature, but it vanished before he could reach it. He unearthed the ground beneath his feet where it had disappeared but found nothing. He tried to sense its presence, and was further infuriated when he found nothing. With a frustrated growl, he decided to move back towards the hotel where his comrades were currently lodged. There was a lot of work to be done. Mangetsu was quite surprised when he was ordered to gather the remaining swordsmen of their group and assemble them all into their general's personal quarters inside the luxurious hotel where the Hokage had provided them and the entire 501st temporary accommodations. By the time he roused the others and knocked on Naruto's doorstep, the blonde was ready for them. How did the meeting go, General? Asked Haku curiously, earning nods from the others as the blonde had went for a personal meeting with the Hokage and the Senju clan only to return late after midnight, followed by summoning them all here. Mangetsu caught a faint flicker of grief present in those eyes, which was quickly replaced by an icy determination in the blonde's eyes. As expected, I would say. They are desperate for this alliance, answered Naruto with a cunning smile. What makes you say that? Asked Kisame seriously. I took an unauthorized tour of the village, and it is being defended by mostly green Chunin squads under the supervision of few veteran Jounin and Umbus. Their cemetery has also undergone great extension, suggesting their losses in this war are more than what Tobirama Senju proclaimed them to be. It made me seriously reconsider this alliance once again, answered Naruto, not mentioning the fact that he had learned all of that after having teleported all over the village in an effort to stay away from Tobirama, who was desperate to have words with him after what his students had done. He had also spent quite some time in the cemetery watching over his wife's grave. Both those factors gave him key insights about Konoha, something he would have probably not noticed so easily had he not learned about Ino's death. That grief was still too raw in his heart, but he couldn't afford the luxury to cry over it anymore if he truly wanted to get justice. Such treachery had cemented his belief that Konoha could not be trusted under any circumstances. He was aware that there were good people in this village, including his blood family, but he could not forgive this nation for their failure to protect his wife. They knowingly put her in harm's way for their interests, even when they knew she was pregnant with a child. His child. A part of him was furious with Ino as well for risking their unborn child like that, but he of all people knew how the shinobi nations loved to use the loyalty of their ninjas for their own benefits, even if it led to the destruction of those loyal soldiers. It was the death of his unborn child that fueled his newfound hatred for the Leaf Village. The same was the case with Yuzu for what they did to Kushina despite his sacrifice, and wished to keep her safe. He had already lost almost everyone he cared for and couldn't allow those responsible to get away with their crimes without any punishment. He still didn't hate the people of both villages, far from it. But instead he wanted to destroy the corrupt powers ruling these nations so a new and better leadership could take its place. For that to happen, he would have to make decisions that would have appalled his older self. But that wasn't a man who had lost what Naruto had lost now. Yet he couldn't do it all alone. Looking at the other great ninja swordsmen around him made him realize he would need their support for the revolution he wanted to bring. He was still contemplating joining Madara, and a huge part behind that decision rested upon the man's ability to bring his loved ones back to life. He had still not forgotten that directly or indirectly, Madara had played a key role in all that he had lost over the years. Joining that man if ever should be out of necessity, and not willingness. "What are you suggesting, Naruto?" asked Mangetsu earnestly, making the blonde give the young boy an easy smile. "We came here to secure Kirigakure's future. Kumogakure, Sunagakure and Iwagakure are Konoha's enemies with only tiny Yuzushigakure as their ally. I had assumed them to be strong, maybe they are still financially, but after my observations I'm not too confident about their military capabilities. Joining with them means putting Kiri against three great nations," warned Naruto without mincing any words. "We are already at war with Kumogakure," pointed Zabuza. "True. But that is just one nation. Knowing Iwa and Suna, they would be more than happy to let Kumo fall to us provided we don't attack them afterwards and seek a peace treaty. Those three villages have joined together in order to crush the Leaf, which was becoming too strong and ambitious. If one of them was to fall as the price for that victory, then the others wouldn't be too saddened by that loss," countered Naruto. Mangetsu and Haku were both stunned by this line of thinking from their ever-honorable leader. However, the remaining four members of their group looked quite pleased with those suggestions. "You continue to surprise me," Naruto said Kisame with a smirk on his face. "I'm all for it." "These tree huggers were too soft to begin with," agreed Zabuza with a dark chuckle. "Whatever is best for our village's interests is good in my book," said Amuri without hesitation, earning a nod from Jinpachi as well. Haku looked at Mangetsu worriedly, making her childhood friend step forward towards their leader. "This alliance is the wish of our Mizukage. He gave us freedom to negotiate terms, not to disobey his orders," warned the Hozuki heir, his steely gaze boring into the blonde sitting in front of him, making the older warrior raise his hands in a peaceful gesture. "I have not forgotten that, but felt it right to let my closest comrades know the truth about our new allies before the negotiations that will start in a few hours this morning. In any case, I want you guys to think about more terms we can negotiate in our favor, knowing what we do now," replied Naruto diplomatically, making sure his voice sounded nothing but patient and understanding towards the younger boy. He was relieved when Mangetsu was placated by those words and chided himself over his impatience that could have created unwanted suspicion in the heart of the Mizukage's son over his new motives. He could not afford such mistrust, at least not until he himself became Mizukage. Only then would he have true power to get his justice against all his enemies. Soon enough, the rest of the swordsmen left after discussing few more demands they could make in the upcoming negotiations. A strange silence befell in his room as the never-ending solace returned back into his life. "One day, I will get justice. Please wait for that, Ino." Next day morning, Tobirama was immensely relieved to find the boy he had been looking for the past entire day. To think it was a wild guess that made him arrive at the cemetery of the village early morning. He had contemplated sending the Umbu to locate the blonde, but gave up on that idea when he thought of what the boy might do to them in his current grieving state. It had to be his own father who confronted him. Even Mito had encouraged him to do that, and keep this family matter as personal as they could without involving unwanted outsiders than they already had. He found his son solemnly standing near his wife's grave as Tobirama hesitantly approached him. "What do you want?" asked Naruto tersely, before Tobirama could even say something. The senju had tried to put a comforting hand on his shoulder only to be shunned away by a warning glance from the blonde. "I'm truly sorry for everything," Naruto apologized Tobirama sincerely, knowing that saying anything else would be insincere and would only upset his son further. "It means nothing. It won't bring them back." Tobirama was taken aback by those words, and it only strengthened his misgivings over what this event had done to his son. "You're right. It won't, but I still mean it," he replied, making his son clench his fists painfully as he looked at his wife's grave. "In this world you either die young, or live long enough to see things that would break your heart," whispered Naruto sadly, Tobirama did not want to admit it, but those words struck deep in his heart as he remembered the events of his own life. His parents died when he was young. His brothers died in the subsequent conflicts of the Clan Wars era. His last and most beloved brother Hashirama alongside all his cousins died in the First Great Ninja War. His nieces and nephews in the Second Great Ninja War, as did a lot of his clan members and fellow comrades and students. He could never be together with the woman he loved, one who even in death gave him something to hope for. And now he had lost his daughter-in-law and grandchild. Only now he understood the depth of his son's pain as he looked at Ino Yamanaka's grave. You gave him something to live for, a hope that was destroyed before it could fully blossom, thought Tobirama sadly. Even after all that had happened in his life, Tobirama could still hope for a future thanks to Mito, Nawaki, Tsunade, and the rest of his clan. Their warmth and love surrounded him always, and his departed lover Inoue had given him a lost son for whom he had great hopes. Naruto never had that, and his hope was extinguished with the child that died with the demise of his beloved wife. You're right, he could not help but admit begrudgingly, earning a rueful smile from the blonde. Ask what you came here to ask, Tobirama. The Senja head was again surprised by those cold words and the knowing look in his son's eyes. Do you want to back away from an alliance with Konoha for what Danzo and Sara did? Asked Tobirama hesitantly. Yes. Tobirama was startled by that blunt admission, yet the father inside of him was proud for the honesty displayed by his son when all he had received from this village was deceit. But the Second Mizukage wishes for an alliance. I am duty-bound to uphold his wish. Words couldn't describe how relieved Tobirama felt on hearing those words said by his son begrudgingly. His relief was short-lived when Naruto looked at him sharply. Don't be mistaken. Neither Konoha or Yuzu deserve it, for you are just as bad as the enemies that are trying to destroy you, said Naruto scathingly, the anger burning bright in his eyes once again. Naruto, I understand serious mistakes have been made and I will ensure there are repercussions. By doing what? Reprimanding the current Hokage and his advisor in power for hiding the truth that saved your life? By trying to force the Mizukage to reveal the truth about us Spartans when you and the other villages bribed him into submission, thereby saving Hashirama and Konoha's honor, while also hiding his crimes? Your people and allies would turn on you sooner than you think, reprimanded Naruto without hesitation. But the mist is cut from the same cloth. In some ways it's even worse. But Genjutsu Hozuki is trying to change it. I can see it. He's a man of honor, which is more than what I can say for the Hokages or my own Mizukage. That is the only reason you will have your alliance now, but don't assume the terms will be easy as before, or this will be a long-term partnership, said Naruto fiercely. What are you saying? Asked Tobirama worriedly, knowing very well that while the blonde would obey the Mizukage's orders, it was totally in his hands to set the terms for an alliance, as he was Kiri's ambassador. The cold chuckle that escaped from the blonde made a shiver run through the former Hokage's heart as Naruto walked away, but his words haunted his father for a very long time. The price of peace is not cheap, Tobirama. Kirigakure, few hours earlier, Genjutsu Hozuki dodged a horde of kunai launched at him, while firing water bullets from his mouth that struck the assailant dead on, leading to his instant demise. The man tumbled down the stairs of the Mizukage's home, cracking the plain mask hiding his face. The Kiri leader clenched his fist when he recognized the intruder as a member of the Kage clan. Another intruder crashed right through the roof over the Kage's head, only for the older man to launch a swift jab at the assailant and crush his neck mercilessly. Removing his mask, Genjutsu was further disappointed but not totally surprised when he recognized this one to be a member of the Hagoromo clan. He had known both clans had not been happy with his ascension as Mizukage, with Reika Kagaya, the head of her clan, wanting the post for herself. They had opposed many of his policies and heavily criticized him on the first failed invasion of Kumogakure, which had costed him thousands of ninja and all the members of the 7 ninja swordsmen. The front door of his house was blasted open as a dozen more intruders entered, with Reika Kagaya and Hiro Hagoromo leading the charge. I knew there was bad blood between us, but I never considered you could turn traitors to this village, said Genjutsu furiously. Traitors? We don't see anyone but you and your lackeys as one. Despite being from a noble clan, you sidelined the importance that the shinobi clans have enjoyed in this village since its foundation. You allowed commoners to lord over us, launched a failed invasion that costed us precious fighters and all the previous 7 ninja swordsmen, went as far as nominating a youngling like that Namikaze brat for the next Kage position without even consulting us, and are trying to ally our nation with a losing side like the Leaf Village. You even returned Tobirama despite our opposition, said Reika bitterly, as she pointed her bone-shaped spear at him. But we're not here because of that. We are here because your transgressions have become too much. The feudal lord was most displeased with your unauthorized raid on Nagi Island without even informing him or his advisors. That is treason, and we have been authorized to take appropriate action," said Lord Hiro Hagoromo frankly. Genjutsu chuckled, making the two clan heads look at him with deep frowns on their faces. "What's so funny?" asked Reika tartly. "It's funny how you two who hated the daimyo's dominance over the village are the ones who first flocked to his side when Kirigakure tried to challenge his limitless authority and do what was right for this nation. But I guess the lure of power corrupts anyone," said Genjutsu mercilessly. He was satisfied when both the clan heads flinched at that accusation but didn't lower the weapons they had aimed at their Kage. "You crossed the line when you ordered the attack on Nagi Island. If Kirigakure is to be spared from the daimyo's wrath, then we must present you in the daimyo's court for judgment, or kill you should you resist," warned Lord Hagoromo adamantly. "You think I'll give up so easily?" roared Genjutsu, righteous anger now burning in his eyes as his killing intent flared. His eyes widened when he felt dark spots in his vision, and all strength vanished from his legs as he fell to his knees. He saw Reika Kage grasping the coffee cup at his dinner table and giving him a knowing smile. "We poisoned most of your food. Don't worry. It's not lethal enough to kill you just yet, and we have an antidote to keep you alive until the daimyo sees you," she added with a cocky smirk. "Impossible, the umbu, check, everything," denied Genjutsu, as he looked at one of the said black ops lying dead on his floor who had given his life protecting the Mizukage. "Not when we have their families hostage. Don't worry, they paid for betraying you with their blood," said Reika with a cold smile. She was taken aback when Genjutsu got back on his feet and looked at her murderously. The killing intent launched by the man once more bringing most of her warriors down to their knees in fear. "You will pay for this," promised Genjutsu, and was impressed when the two clan heads managed to resist his power. "There are thousands of soldiers sent by the daimyo surrounding our village at this moment, Genjutsu. More than that, our two clans have surrounded your clan's district. Resist, and all that is dear to you shall reduce to ashes," warned Reika, her tone urging the Mizukage to see reason. The said man extended his senses fully and grimaced when he felt hundreds of chakra signatures surrounding the Hozuki clan district. They were well hidden and not easy to detect unless one had acute sensory skills, meaning these were the most lethal killers from the Kage and Hagoromo clans. He also felt many unknown signatures at the far outskirts of the village's boundary, lending merit to threat that Reika Kage had just given him. "Thousands of people need not die tonight if you do the right thing," suggested Lord Hiro Hagoromo. Genjutsu grimaced as his body tried to fight off the poison trying to bring him down. All the years he had spent developing immunity against a variety of such weapons was the only thing making him being able to fight. However, the dilemma before him was not of his own survival, but that of his people. "A change is coming, Reika and Hiro. I can see it, and neither I, or you both, and the daimyo can stop this revolution," said Genjutsu with determination burning in his eyes. "Your son shall be taken into protective custody as soon as he returns. If you plead guilty, the daimyo is prepared to spare his life alongside your clan. Your successor, however, is a problem and will be dealt with appropriately, as will the 501st should they choose to rebel against our feudal lord," stated Reika seriously. She was quite surprised when her words made a soft chuckle escape from the second Mizukage's lips, as the older man gave her a patronizing glare. "The whole tree will not die even if a few branches fall. You may kill us, imprison our families, torture our comrades, but you will never be able to quench the revolution that we have started. Our will has been passed on in the hearts of our people, and it shall one day engulf this nation's corrupt leadership and its barbaric traditions," promised Genjutsu fiercely. "Enough! Surrender or watch Kirigakure envelop in the rebellion that you started," threatened Reika with a finality present in her dark tone. Genjutsu grimaced as once again he was left with an impossible choice that would decide the fate of his nation. Madara Uchiha calmly sat upon one of the hills within Kirigakure. A curious smile was etched upon his lips as he watched the activity silently happening within the village in the darkness of the night. "It didn't take long to make them dance," he said with a dark chuckle. He had to give Zetsu the due credit, for it was one of the creature's lackeys that planted false evidence of the 501st led by Naruto destroying the pirates on Nagi Island enjoying the daimyo's protection. Naruto and his men had been thorough in erasing any evidence including the bodies of their fallen comrades. Yet the daimyo had believed the false evidence planted by the Zetsus when one of his advisors received report of the attack from nearby villagers a day later, many of whom were under Madara's genjutsu to relay exactly what the daimyo wanted to hear. The rest was history as he watched the two rebellious clans enter the Mizukage's personal residence. The water daimyo had shown quite some shrewdness for a civilian when he asked the Kagaya and Hagoromo clans to secretly deal with the current Mizukage who was challenging his authority over the land of water. Of course, the feudal lord had also sent his forces as backup and also to serve as a warning should both clans have any second thoughts. Truly, A world of lies and deceit, whispered Madara with a smile, knowing he had played his own part in its misery with his own deception. But that was the price for peace. Hashirama, soon I shall destroy this false world that you created and begin a new chapter for mankind. Chapter 32, The General. The bright morning rays were intruding through the windows of the hotel as Naruto strolled down the stairs. When he reached the ground floor, he was pleased to find the 7 ninja swordsmen standing ready alongside the entire 501st. There were bright smiles on quite a few faces after a full day's rest. More than that, he saw hope in many eyes. His people truly wanted this alliance between their villages, as nearly 30 of their comrades had given their lives to see it through. It was those dead men and women that had kept him up at night. He had lost his wife due to Konoha, knowing Ino she would still want him to forge an alliance between their villages. But he just couldn't forgive the Leaf for what they did to her, and to him with all their lies. But did that give him the right to drag Kirigakure in his personal vendetta and altered viewpoint towards the world? Naruto, you do remember the nations we truly serve? Ino's fateful words from long ago came back to haunt him as he realized how attached he was becoming towards Kirigakure and its people. But now he didn't even want to serve Yuzu, or at least its current leadership, after what they did to Kushina despite everything she and him had done for the village. The turmoil in his heart grew more stronger until he felt a hand being placed on his shoulder. General, are you alright? Asked Haku with genuine concern in her eyes. He looked at the younger girl and saw quite a few people shared her feelings as they looked at his pale face. Did he truly have the right to use such impeccable faith of these people in him for his personal goals? If yes, then what was the difference between people like Danzo, Hiruzen, Tobirama, the Mizukage, and him? A world of peace, a world of truth. A new strength and determination flew through him as he remembered the promise he had made over his wife and child's grave, and what his goal would achieve for the entire world. He had tried the noble and honorable approach to bring peace but had failed miserably. He had tried to fight for his nation and even Kiri and Konoha to an extent but had failed time and again. Now it was time to do whatever necessary for the sake of his dreams. It was time he truly listened to his own heart, even if it meant becoming the devil he once hated. Absolutely. It's just too sunny here. I'm used to Kiri's miserable damp weather, replied Naruto with a teasing smile. Haku smiled at his remark, earning amused chuckles from the remaining 7 ninja swordsmen and the 501st fighters as well. With a reassuring nod, Naruto walked towards the exit, making the others join his side. From the corner of his eyes, he gave them all an apologetic look. You can hate me all you want later. Or perhaps you will be able to understand my feelings once I create a new and peaceful world. A place where people can truly feel each other's hearts. Either way, I must walk on this path until the very end. With that determination burning within himself, he met the escort sent by the Hokage at the hotel entrances, and together the entire group then made their way towards the Hokage Tower to complete what they had came here to do. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen Sarutobi held back a flinch as he watched the Kiri delegation led by Naruto Namikaze enter his hall. He felt uncomfortable when the man's gaze met his own before he silently gestured his people to take their seats first, and only after they were seated he took his own at the opposite end from Hiruzen. An action that didn't go unnoticed by Tobirama, Mito, Danzo, Lord Hyuga, Lord Shin-Nara and few other ninja clan representatives who were going to participate in these negotiations, since most clan heads were currently on the front lines. It's an honor that you joined us, General Namikaze, began Hiruzen politely. It was our Mizukage's wish, answered Naruto calmly, making Tobirama flinch when he saw the way in which Mangetsu and the other 7 ninja swordsmen swelled with pride. The cold look present in his son's eyes as he looked at the Konoha delegation made it absolutely clear that Tobirama's dream of someday making his son a part of the Leaf, the dream that he and his brother Hashirama had worked so hard to develop, would remain just a dream. Then what does Lord's second wish for us to become? We would be honored if you could share his wish, said Lady Mito diplomatically. Naruto looked at Mangetsu and gave an encouraging nod, making the younger boy pale and look at him in shock. Nobody knows his heart better than you do, whispered the Kiri general, earning a thankful smile from the Hozuki clan heir. A better future for both of our people, answered Mangetsu confidently, as he looked at the members of the Konoha delegation led by the Hokage. We wish for the same as well, Lord Mangetsu, replied Hiruzen with an honest smile. Tell me, what do you want to accomplish if we win this war, Hokage? We know what our Mizukage wants, and 30 of my men died for that. But they would still like to know your answer as well, said Naruto seriously, as he remembered the men who fell at Nagi Island protecting Tobirama. Before Hiruzen could say something, he was beaten by somebody else. Self-sacrifice is a shinobi's duty. To follow their leader's command is the shinobi law. The death of your men was a painful yet necessary cost for this alliance, General. Hope you understand that, said Danzo frankly. He received sharp warning glances from Tobirama, Mito, Hiruzen and quite a few clan representatives as the Kiri delegation bristled in anger, especially Mangetsu and Haku. On the other hand, there was a sad yet knowing smile on Naruto's face as he looked at the younger boy. They were people, boy. Men, women who had hopes, dreams, and families. You insulted my fallen shinobi and have the audacity to talk about self-sacrifice? Lord Hokage, one of the first conditions for any further negotiations will be the removal of this disgusting child from this room, said Naruto fiercely. You dare! Roared Danzo furiously, making Koharu and Hamura come to his side in his defense. The trio took a step back when Naruto's slit red eyes awakened and they felt his killing intent crashing down upon them. They were brought to their knees as the 7 ninja swordsmen unleashed their own power and targeted it all over them instantly. Be thankful I am not taking your head, warned Naruto icily, murder evident in his eyes. You 3. Get out of this room right now, ordered Tobirama swiftly, his furious glare making his 3 students tremble a bit more with Mito's disappointed gaze making them lower their heads in shame. When Hiruzen also nodded his consent, Naruto gestured his comrades to stand down as he did the same. Danzo hesitantly got back on his feet and supported his 2 friends in doing the same. As he silently walked towards the exit of the hall, his gaze connected back to the Kiri general, making a cold shiver pass through his very soul when he saw the sheer hatred present in those red eyes for him. I am terribly sorry for the entire ordeal, said Hiruzen sincerely once Danzo and his 2 supporters were gone, earning a sigh from Mangetsu. Lord Hokage, you are asking us to forge an alliance with you. Something which will make 3 great villages our enemies. It will never succeed if we even lack the basic respect that we need to show towards our fallen, chastised Mangetsu disappointedly. The odds are impossible as it is. Even if we somehow win this war and defeat Iwa, Suna and Kumo, it won't be long before another war starts among our 2 nations if we do not respect each other and manage our differences, which will again fan the flames of conflict, warned Haku. Enough. The Kiri delegation backed off at Naruto's command as the blonde lit a smoke before glancing directly at the Hokage. Name your terms and I shall name ours, declared the blonde. Hiruzen glanced at his sensei and various clan representatives before glancing back at Naruto to make the proposal. We wish to form a military alliance with the Land of Water to win this war, and even beyond that. The Fire Daimyo is willing to share the spoils equally between our factions, as well as providing a war bounty of 100 million ryo for your support. We shall also formulate a free trade agreement between our nations at a later date after due negotiations from both sides, said Hiruzen respectfully, with a hopeful smile clearly present on his face. He frowned when Naruto took a puff of smoke while glancing at him with the most disinterested gaze. Tempting, but not enough, answered Naruto coldly. It's a generous offer, General Namikaze. It's in the interest of both our nations, implored Tobirama, earning a harsh glare from the blonde. Bring up the war map, commanded Naruto. Hiruzen frowned but nodded at one of his aides, who brought up a large-scale map of the entire ninja world in the center of the room, drawing everyone's attention to it. What do you seek from this war, Lord Hokage? Asked Naruto seriously. An early victory in our favor with as few losses as possible, replied Hiruzen firmly. And how do you wish to achieve that? Questioned the blonde once again. Through key military victories, thereby destroying the ability of Kumo, Iwa, and Suna to continue this war. With Kiri's aid, we can increase their losses and threaten their lands, which should bring them to the negotiation table sooner or later. If not, we continue to inflict more losses until they do so. A humorous chuckle escaped from Naruto's lips, much to the surprise of everyone in the room, including his own comrades. How naive. All it would lead to is a temporary peace before we find ourselves in another war once those nations rebuild their strength. Have you learned nothing from history? A similar pact was signed barely 10 years ago, ending the first great ninja war. Look how long that lasted. Chastised Naruto. Then what do you truly wish for, General? Asked Tobirama carefully, a part of his heart greatly disturbed when he saw the sheer ambition in those once familiar eyes. Dark ash-like chakra rose from Naruto's arm and flew towards the world map. At first, it settled over the Land of Water, marking it in complete darkness. Soon, the wave of darkness crossed the ocean and took over the Land of Lightning. Hiruzen's eyes widened in disbelief when the ash continued marching forward relentlessly. Mito was horrified when the ash took over the Hidden Frost Village, then the Hidden Waterfall Village, and even consumed the Hidden Grass Village, all minor villages gone in the blink of an eye. Tobirama felt a cold shiver run through his very soul when the ash stopped finally after consuming the Land of Earth and the Hidden Stone Village in it. General, that's more than half of the world, whispered Hiruzen in horror. You can keep the Land of Wind, Land of Rivers, Land of Waves, and Land of Rain under your rule once we win. The rest shall belong to us, declared Naruto unflinchingly. He was not surprised when it caused an instant outrage among the Leaf delegation, with various clan representatives and their supporters voicing their protests. He looked to his side when Mangetsu tapped his leg urgently. "General," warned the Mizukage's son. "What? You want to align our village with a nation that lacks the will to win this war, and whose leaders are so naive and disrespectful towards Kiri's ambitions? Grow up, for this world is a cruel place," chastised Naruto harshly. "He's right, Mangetsu. If they can't even respect our fallen shinobi who died protecting their Hokage, what makes you think they won't sell us out to save their own skin?" Questions Abusa with a disappointed glare. "There is a reason as to why Lord Genjutsu chose the general to lead these negotiations. Are you prepared to risk our village's future just to have the moral high ground? I thought you were smarter than that," rebuked Kisame. "We are with the general on this one," Mangetsu Hozuki stated Jinpachi icily, earning a firm nod from Amiri as well. The Hozuki clan heir looked to his lone childhood friend and was quite shocked when Haku looked away. "I trust the general to do what's right for our village." "So did your father," implored Haku gently. Mangetsu clenched his fist bitterly as he found himself completely outvoted by his own squad. The fact that not a single one of them backed his desire to follow a restrained and peaceful approach made him glare harder at Naruto, who looked back at him unflinchingly. "You think you can really win over them all? Their forces outnumber ours," yelled one of the Leaf Ninja clan representatives furiously. The same could be said for the shinobi system. Hashirama Senju was the one who created this system with his dream, and will, even when the entire world mocked and didn't believe him. He united Senju and Uchiha, defeated Madara Uchiha, and tamed all tailed beasts. "With such example among your own ranks," said Naruto, but was cut off when Lord Hyuga raised a pointed finger at him. "But you're not Hashirama Senju, General." Tobirama hid back a flinch when Naruto smiled coldly at the noble clan head. If only his people could be told the truth. Not only was Naruto the nephew of Hashirama Senju, he also held the blood of the Uchiha and Namikaze clans in him as well. A special forces commander who had single-handedly killed a tailed beast and won numerous battles. His powers were unique, something which even the likes of Madara Uchiha could not ignore or deny. He had been at war longer than anyone in this room except Tobirama himself. "Your eyes have changed," Naruto thought Tobirama sadly. As he looked at his son, he saw the new pattern of his eyes and realized what had happened. Gone were the hopes and dreams, leaving behind a tale of only devastation and pain. The gaze that was once filled with warmth now only held an unrelenting hatred and an unsettling ambition. It was the same gaze he had once seen in Madara's eyes all those years ago. He could not afford to create an enemy out of his own son more than he already had, and especially not with the amount of influence he held in Kiri and with its Mizukage. His people just didn't know what catastrophe they would bring upon themselves should they dare to face General Naruto Namikaze in battle. He saw Hiruzen and Mito looking at him earnestly, even as the remaining clan representatives lambasted the Kiri general mercilessly as he just listened with a knowing smile. "Go ahead with this, Sari," he whispered, shocking both his student and Mito as well. "But sensei, he will betray us." "Certainly after we failed to protect you know who," whispered Hiruzen hesitantly. "Tobirama, what are you thinking?" questioned Mito calmly. The Senju clan head looked at his son carefully for a few long moments, even as the boy calmly continued answering the questions thrown at him by the various clan representatives. Unlike the contempt he had openly shown towards Hiruzen and Danzo, he seemed disinterested even as he talked to other Konoha leaders. He could not feel any hate or malice in the boy's chakra towards these people. More than that, Tobirama himself understood that those three great nations would have to be crushed if there was to be real peace in the future. They had tried negotiation at the end of the previous war, and it only stalled the conflict for a few more years. If only Hashirama had not distributed those tailed beasts all those years ago despite Tobirama's protests, they wouldn't be in this situation. "Do you really think you can win this war?" asked Tobirama honestly. "Yes," answered Naruto unflinchingly. "Land of Earth shall be under our rules," said Tobirama in a steely tone. "I don't think you understand. It stays with us." Tobirama didn't blink as his gaze bored deep into that of his son, who did the same for a few long moments before a disarming smile arrived on his lips. "Very well, Lord Second. We shall honor your wish," answered Naruto easily. The concession relaxed most of the Konoha delegation, including Hiruzen Sarutobi and Mito Uzumaki. It ended all arguments instantly, and while the Kiri delegation didn't look satisfied with it, none of them raised any protest. Tobirama couldn't help but find himself in a dilemma once again. He had been right in not allowing Kirigakure to expand its rule to as far as the Land of Earth, which would not only endanger his own nation but also allow the Land of Water to use more resources available at its disposal for any future conflict with the Land of Fire. But the boy had acquiesced too easily. It was as if, His eyes widened in surprise when he looked at the world map and understood everything. Supply lines, Land of Water's current resources and manpower would be extremely stretched if they tried to rule as far as the Land of Earth. They would never be able to hold those lands successfully. You wanted us to take up that mantle on our own and stretch our forces to the maximum. You gave us vast lands in the form of Land of Wind and Earth to rule, knowing we would always be on our toes to hold those lands alongside minor villages, making us not be in a position to launch an attack against your lands for a decade or two or risk starting a two-front war with Kirigakure at the front and any rebel factions from the Land of Wind and Earth in the rear that you'll support. You tricked us, thought Tobirama bitterly. These talks of dividing our territories will be meaningless if we can't defeat our enemies. What is your plan for that? Asked Lord Shinara seriously, as he tried to prevent his faction from falling into a deeper trap set by the Kiri general, much to Tobirama's relief. Naruto respectfully nodded at the question as he got up from his seat and walked towards the ninja world map. One of the aides gave him a stick on his request as the Kiri general pointed it at Osaka City, which his forces had captured and still controlled till this day in the Land of Lightning. We will send 5,000 more ninja forces to the city, making the enemy believe that we will be launching further incursions from here into the Land of Lightning with the intent of splitting their nation in half. To counter that, they'll dispatch reinforcements from Kumogakure and their feudal lord's capital. They will also be forced to pull back their forces engaged near Land of Fire's borders, thereby reducing pressure on your forces, explained Naruto in detail. But your men will be surrounded quickly. Without help, they'll be slaughtered or captured, pointed Hiruzen grimly, earning a nod from Naruto. They are a distraction. While the enemy uses the majority of its military power to stop the immediate threat in its vicinity, I shall take away what is dearest to them, promised Naruto mercilessly. Tobirama's eyes widened when his son pointed directly at Kumogakure and the feudal lord's capital in the Land of Lightning. The 501st Kiri Umbu Black Ops Hunter Corps shall join me as I take their dear village and capital. If we crush their military powerhouse and economic capital while taking important leaders hostage and eliminating those that still resist, their army will lose hope. A 10,000-strong Kiri force shall also land in the northern shores of the Land of Lightning, thereby completing their encirclement. They will be forced to surrender, explained Naruto seriously. And if they don't? Countered Lord Shinara, only to receive an ice-cold smile in return. Then I'll wipe Kumogakure and their feudal capital from the face of this earth. A stunned silence swept across the entire hall as each person from both factions stared at the Kiri general, who met their shocked, repulsed, and disbelieving gazes with a determined one of his own. Hiruzen's lips trembled as he remembered reading the report of this same man wiping out half of Osaka with its population in the blink of an eye single-handedly. The same general had also assassinated the Lightning Daimyo, mercilessly doing what everyone deemed to be impossible. Tobirama remembered the destroyed corpse of the Two Tails from 10 years ago, courtesy of his own son. Will you truly go that far? He asked gravely, sadness present in his voice. My hands are already stained with blood, Lord Tobirama. A little more wouldn't make me less than what I already am, but will help my village win this war and secure its future, answered Naruto honestly. Do you think Iwa and Suna will not try to intervene? Questioned Lord Shinara. Not when most of your shinobi forces are stationed near the border of the Land of Wind and Land of Rain, advised Naruto with a cunning smile. He explained the grand strategy by naming it Operation Thunderbolt. Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Mito were the only ones in the entire hall who understand the significance of that name, since it was the same mission name in which Uzushigakure's Spartans fought and died 10 years ago. Now their surviving captain was going to avenge them by declaring total war upon most of the ninja world in their name. They watched in silence as Naruto introduced a new strategy that relied more upon speed and quick strikes with specialized ninja units on key enemy targets instead of large army battles in which their side would lose. The operation would begin with Kiri's attack on Kumogakure and the Land of Lightning's capital, with Konoha launching the next phase by attacking the Land of Wind's key targets with all its might while maintaining an illusionary threatening posture near the Land of Earth's borders, keeping them on edge for a few days. Speed and efficiency was everything in this strategy, for if the enemy faction managed to unite their forces to launch a counterattack, they would be crushed. With the fall or surrender of two key allies, the Land of Earth would be surrounded. It would either lay down arms or be annihilated by the combined might of Land of Water and Fire. A victory that would divide the ninja world into two factions instead of numerous major and minor villages. A mad gamble, commented Tobirama, as Naruto finished explaining his plan. Some would say your brother did the same when he dreamed of creating a ninja village by uniting Senju and Uchiha, two bitter enemies, retorted Naruto calmly. Tobirama had no answer against those words and watched as Lord Shinara looked at the blonde skeptically. I hate to say it, but conventionally we will never win against those 3 great villages, so your crazy plan becomes the only choice we have at the moment. My real worry lies with the fact that whether we will be able to hold the lands that we win. And if yes, then what will be the cost? What prevents you from betraying us in the future and taking over the whole world? Questioned Lord Nara seriously. True, the Nara clan head was quite stunned on the blunt admission and cold smile he received from Naruto. What do you mean by that, General Namikaze? Asked Hiruzen worriedly. If you truly doubt your own power or that of your people, then there can be no future for you. Konoha has so many great clans and the economic might of the Land of Fire, yet those 3 villages did attack you because they truly believe they can win. More than that, they feel they can rule over you, answered Naruto. And you think Kiri and its people can stand up to that power? Countered Lord Shinaro with a heavy frown. He and the 3rd Hokage clenched their fist when the Kiri general nodded confidently. They looked towards the 7 ninja swordsmen and saw the same determination in their eyes. We respect strength and mutual trust only, Lord Hokage. As long as you have that, there shall be peace between us, and we can actually win this war. That is my promise, pledged Naruto. And if we refuse? Will you destroy this nation? Asked Lady Mito somberly, with a hint of understanding still present in her eyes as she looked at her nephew. She barely saw a moment of hesitation before he looked back at her resolutely. No. That is not our Mizukage's wish. He wants our nations to be allies. If we can't be that, then it would be unfortunate. We would be fighting our own wars in that event, but we will not be enemies unless you initiate hostilities, reassured Naruto. I understand and am glad for Lord Mizukage's sincerity. But what about you, General Namikaze? What do you truly desire? Questioned Mito seriously. It doesn't matter what I want. We follow our Mizukage's commands, refuted Naruto, but frowned when Mito shook her head vigorously. It matters to me, for you will play a key role in our victory should we become allies. Naruto clenched his fist bitterly on being cornered like that by the Senju matriarch, but softened when he saw the genuine concern for him in her eyes. He could not detect any ill intent in her chakra, which lowered his animosity considerably. His thoughts wandered towards Tsunade and Nawaki, whom he had recently met, his niece and nephew. Something he had never imagined to have after Nagato's demise all those years ago. They had been kind to him, if a little bit hesitant considering they didn't know he was their uncle by blood. He hated quite a few people in this village, and yet there were people he didn't want to harm if he could avoid it. Mito and Tobirama included. Most of all, for better or worse, Ino had laid down her life defending Konoha's future. He had to honor her wishes, which included not destroying her nation if it could be avoided. He had been at war for so long that he had forgotten what peace even felt like. I want this to be the final war so that our children don't suffer the loss that we have, he answered somberly, remembering the faces of his parents, his brother, his Spartan comrades, and now his wife and child. A small understanding smile came on Mito's face as she gave him a gentle nod. Few hours later, it was close to sunset as the 7 ninja swordsmen observed the setting rays from the top of the Hokage mountain. It's beautiful, commented Haku honestly. Something truly worth fighting for, agreed Mangetsu, as he saw the full glory of Konoha from the finest location in the village. Naruto remained silent on hearing those words from his comrades, knowing the cost for this beauty's existence lied in a cemetery not far from here. General, do you truly think we can take over half of the world? Asked Mangetsu seriously. We can, answered Naruto without hesitation. But why do we need to go so far? Questioned the boy once again. For you do not leave your enemies alone. There are just too many powers in this world. Too many rulers with their own ambitions which will continue igniting more conflicts even if we end this one, confessed Naruto. So you think we can be better than others? Naruto turned towards the boy and saw the others looking at the two of them, which made him smile. Your father will be. I believe in him. Mangetsu's eyes widened in surprise before a faint smile arrived on his lips. You think they'll accept our terms, General? Asked Kisame curiously. Maybe. I wish they do, but the choice has to be their own, for this shall be a fight to the bitter end. The same goes for all of you. The 7 ninja swordsmen saw their leader looking at each of them with an unflinching look in his eyes. Are you prepared to walk the path of carnage with me for the sake of Kirigakure and its future? He asked them. You always ask for the impossible, General. Taking Osaka, killing the lightning daimyo, forging an alliance with Konoha, and now conquering half of the world. I like it, agreed Amuri with a cunning smile. I'll follow you till the gates of hell, General, promised Jinpachi with a cold smile. What's in it for us? Asked Sabuza with a chuckle, earning a nod from Kisame as well. Steel and suffering, my friends. Legends are born that way. Fight by my side, and all of Kirigakure alongside every shinobi ever born from this day shall remember Zabuza Momochi and Kisame Hashigaki, the most fearless swordsman to ever walk this earth, promised Naruto, as he placed his hands upon their shoulders. He smiled happily when both swordsmen grinned and nodded. Naruto then walked towards the youngest and the last members of his squad, knowing these two had a different heart compared to their older comrades. He approached Haku and Mangetsu, placed his hands upon their shoulders and looked into their eyes. For centuries now, shinobi have been used by feudal lords for their personal gains. We have suffered, bled and died for their ambitions. Lord Genjutsu sees that and wishes to change it, as do I. To free all shinobi and the people of this world from such rulers and this broken system is my dream. Will you help me achieve that? He asked them earnestly. Till the end, General promised Haku with a tearful smile. You inherited my father's will, General. I now understand why he chose you, and I shall follow you till the end to fulfill that dream. I'm sorry for questioning you many times, but deep in my heart I know you will always protect our people. We all shall follow you, said Mangetsu with a smile. He was surprised when the general came forward and hugged him fiercely, a gesture which he happily returned. Next day, Naruto stood at the main gate of the Leaf Village, flanked by the 7 ninja swordsmen and the 501st at his back. In front of them was the Hokage alongside Tobirama and Mito. Hiruzen walked towards him and handed him a large scroll. We have discussed the terms and have received consent from the Fire Daimyo as well. Please present this signed treaty to Lord Mizukage. We wish this alliance brings an end to this war and peace for both of our people, announced Hiruzen. We will, Lord Hokage. Once we have presented this to Lord Mizukage and have finalized our plans, we shall send you our messenger so we can execute our attacks together, said Naruto honestly with a respectful nod. Hiruzen nodded and stepped back, watching the 7 ninja swordsmen and the 501st taking off on Naruto's signal. The Kiri general was about to do the same when Tobirama stepped forward and looked at him sadly. I wish you could have stayed, he whispered, earning a bittersweet smile from the blonde. So did she. But that dream died with her, answered Naruto somberly. Again, I am sorry for everything that happened. You know, I would give anything to change it if I could, insisted Tobirama. I know, father. I am grateful we met and that you cared for me, but our paths are different, said Naruto with a sad smile. I see that now, agreed Tobirama, as Mito came forward and placed a comforting hand on his back. You are a good leader, father. Your people are lucky to have you by their side once again. With those words and a respectful nod towards Mito, he turned around and started walking away, much to Tobirama's sorrow. Tobirama is a good leader, but Naruto will be simply great, whispered Mito. She watched the boy stop in his tracks and clench his fist bitterly. When he looked back at her, she saw a lone tear slip from his eyes. Thank you, Lady Mito, for showing me the love of a family. I had forgotten that, answered Naruto sincerely. He was surprised when Tobirama came forward and engulfed him in a fierce hug, one which he returned hesitantly at first before fully giving in to his heart. I am proud of you, Naruto. But if you ever try to harm this village or its people for any reason, know this: I shall stop you, said Tobirama seriously, earning a wry smile from the blonde. I'll see you on the battlefield, father. It's where I truly belong, replied Naruto, before he vanished in a dark flash. Mito stepped beside the Senju clan head as a lone tear slipped from his eyes. Why did it turn out this way, Mito? He asked her miserably. True greatness comes from loss, Tobirama. I don't know the future, but I believe this boy will someday change the world for better or worse. I can see it in his eyes, she answered him solemnly. Do you truly think he can do all that he promised? Asked Hiruzen hesitantly. He will try. I only pray we do not end up facing each other on the battlefield, answered Tobirama honestly. Few days later, the first sight of the land of water appeared on the horizon, but instead of a smile, it brought a deep frown upon Naruto's face as he flew across the sky with the 7 ninja swordsmen and the 501st at his back. Activating his red eyes and needing chakra fully, he expanded his sensory powers and came to startling conclusion. The 7 ninja swordsmen frowned when they saw the signal to halt given by their general, immediately making the 501st stop in their tracks as well. Together they hovered a mile away from their homeland's coast as their leader sailed forward and made a hand sign. Release. To their surprise, their vision distorted as the vast forest on the coast vanished in the blink of an eye. Shock and horror gripped their hearts when they saw the entire coastal forest cover was razed to ashes, and upon it stood an army waiting for them. A tidal wave consisting of thousands of shinobi and warriors alike, all ready for a fight, and their weapons raised towards the small Kirigakure force led by the blonde general. Naruto raised an eyebrow in surprise when Lord Hiro Hagoromo stepped forward and glared at him. General Namikaze, on behalf of our feudal lord and the 3rd Mizukage, you are hereby accused of treason against this nation. Surrender, and our leaders will show you mercy. Resist, and you shall perish alongside all your men right here, warned Lord Hiro sternly. The 3rd Mizukage? As far as I am aware, Lord Genjutsu Hozuki, the 2nd Mizukage, is my Kage. I answered to no one but him, replied Naruto calmly. But deep in his heart he had a feeling as to what must have happened. He has been arrested for treason against our feudal lord. You are accused of following his orders and attacking a dominion under the direct rule of our feudal lord without his consent or knowledge. Lord Genjutsu was wise enough to recognize his treason and surrendered without causing any unwanted bloodshed. I suggest you do the same, proclaimed Lord Hiro Hagoromo. Traitors! You shall pay for this! Yelled Mangetsu furiously, as he unleashed his sword, making the remaining 7 ninja swordsmen follow suit. Naruto's own killing flared as he glared at his comrades and warned them to stay back, an order which was begrudgingly obeyed. But even he could see the desire for blood boiling in Mangetsu's eyes and many others, along with the fear in the eyes of many 501st shinobi. He turned towards the noble clan head before glancing at the army at his back. He could see nearly half of the force was made up of Kirigakure shinobi and the rest were warriors from the daimyo's personal armed forces. Warriors of this great nation. He called out to them. A sea of eyes looked up at him, and he was relieved to see majority of them looked extremely reluctant to do what was being asked of them. I know all of us swore an oath towards the leadership of this nation. But more than that, we are duty-bound to protect the future of our people. The feudal lord misused that loyalty by allowing pirates to infest our great nation and terrorize our people, all for the sake of his own power and wealth. Majority of the men here serving under the daimyo, all of you hail from small villages across this nation. Places these heathens attacked and terrorized for years. They killed your friends and families, raped your women, pillaged your wealth. Where was the daimyo then? He asked furiously, making hundreds of feudal warriors flinch and look away in shame. Haku held a crushing grip over Mangetsu's shoulder, thereby preventing the boy from unleashing a deathly carnage over their own people in his righteous fury. The rest of the swordsmen held back the 501st as they watched their general speak to an army that once fought along their side. To the shinobi of Kirigakure. You are loyal shinobi following orders, but there comes a time when a ninja has to answer to his conscience in the face of injustice and tyranny. Listen to your hearts before it's too late, said Naruto fiercely, the memories of his martyred Spartan comrades flashing through his heart. If only he had disobeyed that suicidal order from the Mizukage, his men would be alive today. He would have been executed for treason, but that would have been a far better outcome than leading his own younger brother to his death. He hadn't been strong back then and had paid an unalterable price. It was time to stop following commands of men who didn't deserve to lead. Like you, I swore to defend our great nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Lord Hiro Hagoromo took a step back when those menacing red eyes glanced firmly at him for the last part, a subtle action that didn't go unnoticed by many warriors around him. We fought, bled and died for this nation. So did the Second Mizukage. You know Lord Genjutsu Hozuki is an honorable man. One who has the best interest of this nation and its people in his heart. He was the one who ordered the destruction of Kumogakure, our arch-enemy. He formed an alliance with the Land of Fire for the future of this nation. He ordered the destruction of those pirates that butchered our people. Even when he was betrayed by traitors in his ranks for trying to save this nation from its tyrannical daimyo, he still surrendered peacefully to avoid any unnecessary deaths of his brave ninjas. Is that treason? Asked Naruto furiously, as he held up the scroll containing the alliance treaty between Kiri and Konoha high in the air. That's enough. Kill them all! Shouted Lord Hiro, as he unleashed a large shuriken from his back. He barely managed to dodge a kunai launched at him by the Kiri general in return and flinched when the blonde appeared near him in the blink of an eye. He was immediately surrounded from all sides, yet his eyes looked only at the startled clan head. I will not allow senseless bloodshed, he announced without hesitation. What? The question echoed across the entire loyalist army, making many lower their weapons at the proclamation. The fact that the 7 ninja swordsmen nor the 501st made any threatening moves only added further credibility to the Kiri general, who stepped forward towards the clan head. Loyal sons and daughters of this nation shall not die here for your greed and ambition. I will not allow brothers to kill brothers. I was the one who followed the orders of Lord Second. I was the one who launched the attack on Nagi Island. I am prepared to face the consequences, but you will not lay a finger upon my men, warned Naruto. Then will you surrender? Asked Lord Hiro Hagoromo hopefully. The punishment for treason is death, Lord Hiro. For you I am a traitor and for me you are one. So let's settle this one-on-one. I challenge you to single combat, said Naruto seriously. Nonsense. I will not fall to your tricks, refuted the clan head, earning a cold smile from the blonde who looked at the warriors surrounding them. You call me traitor and yet you are not even brave enough to fight for the lives of your own men, mocked Naruto with a laugh. General, for all your treason nobody can deny you are a powerful ninja. My orders are to arrest or kill you by any means necessary should you disobey. I shall follow those orders, and so shall these men here if they know what's best for their families," ordered Lord Hero mercilessly. Many weapons were raised again towards the blonde after that threat, who raised a hand to stop the 7 ninja swordsmen, and the 501st that were about to launch their own attack. To everyone's surprise, dark chakra wings emerged from Naruto's back as he moved upward in the air but didn't leave the battlefield or launch any attack. His cold and determined red eyes glared at the clan head alongside all those who followed him. "I shall not allow our comrades to kill each other," he announced. "But you protested, Lord Hero. Let it be known that General Naruto Namikaze didn't allow you a fair chance to carry out your orders, treasonous as they are. Lord Hero Hagoromo, I challenge you and all those who chose to follow you in single combat." Chapter 33. Rebellion is a hero's privilege. The Forbidden City, feudal capital, land of water. In a dark dungeon, lay a man bound in chains across a wooden cross. Torture scars marred his entire body as wounds turned his once pale skin dark. One of his eyes was missing, yet the other burned with an unyielding fire that surprised the ones who had reduced him to this state. "Lord Genjutsu, confess your treason and we can stop this madness," urged the young man in front of the former Kage. "Never. You can tear me up as much as you want, but I shall not betray my nation like you have." Yagura Karatachi spat Genjutsu defiantly. 2 bone spears were pressed deeper into his shoulders courtesy of the Kage guards flanking him as the 3rd Mizukage watched in silence alongside Reika Kage. "Stubborn fool! You already surrendered, why torture yourself?" asked Reika coldly. "That was for the sake of my people. I didn't do anything wrong, and for that I shall never accept the wrongful crimes you are forcing me to accept," refuted Genjutsu with a fierce determination in his remaining eye. "You think they will be spared if you continue to resist? See reason, my lord. Kirigakure cannot survive without the support of the feudal lord. Why can't you see that? Your actions will lead to a civil war between the nobility and the masses," implored Yagura. "Is that what they told you, boy? That you would be saving this nation by continuing to support a tyrant that oppresses his own people for his benefit? Do you even know what being Mizukage means? Or becoming Lord Third was just a step up for you and your tiny clan?" asked Genjutsu furiously. "I am only trying to preserve the peace, Lord Genjutsu. This nation was built by establishing a peace between noble clans and commoners. If you tilt the balance too much in one's favor, it will only cause chaos. Why can't you see that?" said Yagura fiercely. Genjutsu looked into those young eyes and saw the boy truly believed what he was fighting for. It made him sad. "You have lost sight of what is most important. Gods help you, Lord Yagura, for you are truly lost." Those words struck a chord inside the young clan head's heart as he gestured the guards who inflicted additional misery upon the disgraced Kage. Even then, that determined eye continued glaring into his very soul, judging him. "Since you are not willing to accept your crimes towards our people and feudal lord, we shall have your son executed as soon as Lord Hero Hagoromo defeats or kills Naruto Namikaze. We sent a 10,000-strong force to silence your loyal dog and all those that choose to stand with him. There is no hope for you," Genjutsu warned Reika mercilessly. She frowned when it only made the former Kage laugh even as he coughed up blood violently. "You asked me why I chose him to be my successor over all of the other clan heads and didn't even consult you?" asked Genjutsu, earning a nod from the female clan leader. "He understands what is most important, and the heart of this nation. Most importantly, he's a good and honorable man with wisdom and strength. Something which you all lack," answered Genjutsu honestly. "What nonsense! Power and the will to rule is required, something which you lack sorely," reprimanded Reika bitterly. "Good men don't last long in this world, Lord Genjutsu. The world is just too cruel for their kind," lamented Yagura, but was surprised when Genjutsu still shook his head. "We have to still try," said Genjutsu calmly with a smile. "Why? It only ends in tragedy for those that walk this path and all those who follow such people," said Yagura sadly. "Because we have to show the people that not all of us are too far gone. That humanity still has good men and women willing to stand and fight for it even if it means losing everything they hold dear," answered Genjutsu with determination. "Noble ideals, my lord. If only the world worked like that," refuted Yagura respectfully, as he placed his Kage hat back upon his head and turned towards the exit. "Contemplate your actions tonight, my lord. For tomorrow, you shall be executed publicly," declared the 3rd Mizukage. From the corner of his eyes, Yagura saw a resigned smile arrive on Genjutsu's lips as he lowered his head, which made the new Mizukage walk towards the exit. Yagura, the new Kage, stopped and turned back to look at his predecessor, who looked him right in the eye. You may hand us all over to the executioner, but very soon the disgusted and tired people of this nation will bring you all to justice and drag you alive through the dirt in the streets. Yugura flinched upon those words even as Genjutsu screamed for Reika Kagaya hacked off his left arm. With a heavy silence, Yugura walked out of the dungeon, never again willing to meet that determined gaze. Naruto unleashed Muramasa from his back as he watched Lord Hiro Hagoromo take command of his vast army. Many looked reluctant, but the fear of their family's future made them raise their weapons against the Kiri general regardless, and brought forth a satisfied smile on the clan head's face. You just dug your own grave, General, insulted Lord Hiro. All I can see is a loyal army led by a sheep. Come! Challenged Naruto with a fierce roar. 1,000 ninjas made the first move by clasping their hands together and unleashing a combined attack. Water style, death rain. Dark clouds blanketed the entire sky, followed by a heavy downpour of endless razor-sharp needles. Naruto saw each and every one of the incoming attack thanks to his visual prowess, and had already finished his own set of hand seals. Fire style, demonic flames. Red-hot flames erupted from his lips that seared across the sky and instantly raised the temperature of the entire battlefield by several degrees. Nearly half of the enemy's barrage was boiled away, and the remaining clashed against the searing flames and met their end. He didn't get any relief as from the corner of his eyes, he saw a sea of metallic weapons launched at him by the army on the ground. Wind style, destructive wave. Manipulating the air around him, he made it clash head-on against the wave of weapons, dispersing them far and wide, much to the chaos of the enemy army as they scrambled to protect themselves from the reverse barrage. My turn! Whispered Naruto with a grin. Lightning style, 1,000 shards. The skies roared furiously as fierce lightning sparked across the clouds. Lord Hiro Hagoromo and many shinobi realized the imminent danger when they felt the wet ground beneath their feet and their own drenched bodies thanks to the earlier attack. Take cover! He screamed. In less than few seconds, hundreds upon hundreds of dark purple lightning strikes rained from the skies, hitting one fighter after another. Their screams echoed across the entire battlefield as they were electrocuted and fell to the ground. We should join him, said Mangetsu bitterly. Those are not our orders. The general knows what he's doing. Look, he's not killing them, pointed Haku patiently. Mangetsu begrudgingly saw what his friend was trying to show him as the general electrocuted most of the non-shinobi fighters in the enemy army with his wide-range lightning attack. It was not lethal enough to kill them, but sufficient to knock them out for a few hours alongside giving them some burns. A part of him was happy when he saw the sheer look of horror on Lord Hiro Hagoromo's face as he watched the carnage being wreaked by a single man. Do you think we can together take on the general? Asked Tsubusa curiously. They watched the said man now focus his attention upon the remaining enemy army made up of shinobi led by Lord Hiro Hagoromo, many of whom were now backing off a bit in fear. Mangetsu felt an enormous power being gathered and saw Naruto rapidly perform a quick set of hand seals. Water style, rising thunder. Lord Hiro Hagoromo felt the ground beneath his feet shaking tremendously. His eyes widened in horror when it started cracking apart, and a haunting rumbling could be heard rising from the core of the very earth itself. He jumped in the air just in time to see the earth break apart as a tsunami of water exploded towards the sky. Hundreds of shinobi were instantly swept into the new monstrosity, while hundreds more who had jumped were struck further high into the sky as the wave continued charging upwards relentlessly. Lord Hiro himself was struck and felt himself flying higher than anyone else in the sky, only to meet the gaze of this jutsu's caster. Before he could react, dark ash surrounded him and started consuming his entire body until he was covered in it completely except for his head. Looking down, he saw his entire army floating in a new lake. Most fighters were unconscious, many were still dazed, the few still strong enough to resist were being swirled viciously in dangerous vortexes. Even the daimyo's civilian army, which had been incapacitated in the earlier attack, was floating over the lake with not a single one of their warriors drowning. It couldn't be a coincidence. You're not human, whispered the clan head in fear, earning an ice-cold smile from the blonde devoid of mercy. You made the wrong choice, Lord Hiro. Now prepare yourself for the consequences, declared Naruto without hesitation. Mangetsu, who had been watching the entire battle, was further alarmed when the captured clan head was further uplifted higher and higher in the sky with the ash enveloping his entire body except his head. That's impossible! Haku's horrified whisper drew his attention towards the lake below as gigantic volumes of ash started rising from it, which then moved towards the clan head now frozen in the sky. He's absorbing chakra from all those shinobi and transforming it into his own. Samahata is quite jealous, commented Kisame in surprise, as he patted his great sword. Zabuza saw the phenomenon with his own eyes as the still resisting enemy shinobi grew weaker and weaker until they joined their already vanquished fellow warriors in floating over the lake completely exhausted and devoid of power. It's the water. It is sucking all of their chakra, he pointed. I don't think we can win against him in a fair fight even if we all fight as a team, answered Mangetsu reluctantly. The same realization was dawning upon the 501st warriors, but more importantly across the vanquished enemy army as they saw their leader now getting cocooned into a tornado of ash which swirled wildly for several long moments. Mangetsu's eyes widened in shock as he realized what was going on, which made him turn towards the 501st and the other swordsmen swiftly. Get away from here! He yelled. Haku was the first to understand his fear as she remembered facing this familiar power once when they had all tried to take on the general together in a friendly battle within Kirigakure. He had showed them a glimpse of his true power then, but many had not taken him seriously, thinking it was a good thing considering he was on their side. But now, as she and the other swordsmen guided the 501st to a safe distance in the sky, they heard the general's declaration echoing across the entire battlefield. For betraying your Kage and this nation, Lord Hiro Hagoromo, you shall die here screaming, said Naruto mercilessly. My clan will avenge me, promised the bitter clan head with vengeance burning in his eyes. Then they shall all die screaming like you will today. Your name, your children, your families, your friends, they shall all disappear like you will today. I shall wipe out the Hagoromo and Kagaya clans alongside all traitors and the feudal lord's entire clan from the face of this earth, declared Naruto furiously, as he clasped his hands together. No! Ash release! Particle annihilation! The swirling ash tornado surrounding the clan head condescended over him completely before glowing brightly. Each and every fighter had to shield his eyes when a monstrous explosion rocked the entire sky. It launched a shockwave that swept across the land for several kilometers and vaporized the clouds in the nearby sky instantly. The loyalist army trapped in the giant lake watched in horror as their clan head was executed in an explosion as powerful as a Baijidama from a tailed beast, whose flames were now spreading across the entire sky, devouring everything in its path. Not a single trace was left of him. He had simply disappeared just as the general had promised. The same man looked at them with his red eyes boring into their very soul. Do you still wish to dance? A cold and satisfied smile came upon Naruto's lips as one by one the remaining shinobi raised their hands in surrender, and they would more than spread the word of what had happened to their comrades and the daimyo's fighters who were currently knocked out cold. Few hours later, Ganrya found himself placed beside Commander Saji of the daimyo's army. Both men looked at each other, being the highest-ranked military commanders of their respective forces. In Ganrya cases he had been the second in command after Lord Hiro Hagoromo. With the clan lord now destroyed at an atomic level, it left the Kirigakure Jounin in charge of the shinobi forces. He looked around and saw their respective fighters were being gathered in the same manner. Those that had wounds of any kind were being treated diligently, and even looked after by the 7 ninja swordsmen. It was something Ganrya had not expected to see in his wildest dreams. He looked at General Naruto standing in front of them, and remembered the young man's words before the battle. True to his promise, not a single shinobi or civilian fighter had lost his life. There were a few injured, but nothing a skilled medic and a few hours of rest didn't solve. The only casualty of the battle being the Hagoromo clan head, who, if Ganrya was being honest, wasn't liked by most of the troops under his command. Not only was he arrogant, and felt he deserved to lead because he was born in a noble clan, had been quick to anger, and did not hesitate in threatening the families of his men should they disobey or betray him. It was no surprise that he was the first to be crushed in the face of real power. What happens to us now? Asked Commander Saji loudly, drawing Ganrya's and everyone's attention. It's up to you to decide, Commander. If you feel the daimyo deserves your loyalty, then you and your men shall be allowed to return to him. But know this, the next time we meet in battle I will not be merciful to protect this nation's future, answered Naruto straightforwardly. The middle-aged bald man with dark eyes nodded respectfully at that answer before turning back to look at his own men. Hundreds of them nodded at him, which made him turn back towards the Kiri general. What is your vision for this nation's future, General? If we join you and lose against the daimyo, then not only will the Kemo Brigade be known as a traitorous force, but our families, including our children, will be publicly executed. Our villages burnt to ashes, said Commander Saji seriously. I want some semblance of prosperity and peace in this nation. I want our people to be happy instead of constantly living in fear of their rulers. I want them to enjoy the crops they grow instead of paying 80% of it in taxes to fatten up greedy feudal lords. Less than 3% of the population, which is the nobility, hold more than 75% of this nation's wealth? Why are our royal armies focused on defending only cities ruled by noble families, leaving smaller villages to the danger of bandits, pirates, and rogue shinobi? I am fighting to give our people a better future than this, answered Naruto passionately, his voice reaching each and every shinobi alongside civilian fighter. I understand the risk you all shall be taking if you join me, but in my eyes a revolution is needed to change the destiny of this nation. My own wife died alongside my unborn child to protect this nation by weeding out traitors eating this great country from the inside. I know what pain is. Many Kiri shinobi were stunned on hearing that admission. They had known the general's wife had died recently. Genjutsu Hozuki had announced it personally, along with acknowledging her bravery in saving Kiri's future by weeding out traitors from their ranks. But to think she had been pregnant. Ganryu saw the respect for the general increasing in many shinobi's eyes, and he had already been loved by a majority of their people to begin with. My goal is to destroy this corrupt system. I want our people to have an active voice in the destiny of our nation. I will build a nation with a single system instead of the current one where shinobi are kept aside. I will lower the taxes upon our people and use the unequal wealth amassed by the feudal clans under the daimyo to help our people better their lives and develop our economy. The thousands that have no work will be allowed an opportunity to serve their country by joining the army which I shall create, an organization of both shinobi and civilian fighters. I will build a nation where our people don't go hungry, where they have a respectful living, where they can live in peace, where a warrior of any kind is honored, where a person no matter his origin can rise up the ranks if he has the skill and dedication to serve this great country. Promised Naruto passionately. Commander Saji saw his trusted second-in-command, Erasure, to be the first to stand up. He had a spear in one hand and a shield in the other. Coming from one of the fishing villages, he had been one of the few lucky ones to reach where he had today despite the opposition commoners faced in the daimyo's army while rising up the ranks firmly held by the nobility. Erasure was well respected by the men under his command, and it showed when one by one many young ones stood up and joined their leader. Commander Saji looked at the Kiri general in front of him carefully. He was young, but his power was unmatched. Having read his dossier out of curiosity when Osaka was conquered by this shinobi, Saji knew he came from the Kiri Black Ops. He was the sole survivor of the now extinguished Namikaze ninja clan and a member of the infamous 7 ninja swordsmen. Most importantly, he had killed the lightning daimyo by going behind enemy lines. It was a testament to his skill and resolve that not even many Kage could possess. He led the 7 ninja swordsmen and the 501st, some of the strongest fighters of their nation. He was young and handsome with a better vision for the future than their feudal lord. For a shinobi you have honor, General commented Commander Saji, earning a smile from the younger man. Every human needs to have some, answered Naruto, which earned him a respectful nod from the feudal commander. The remaining feudal warriors saw their commander himself rise to his feet and looked back at them with a favorable smile. That was the last straw as the remaining warriors rose to their feet with Erasure clashing his spear against his shield. An action that soon became a war cry as it was repeated one after another by every fighter including their commander. Ganryu saw the general now looking at him with the leadership of the shinobi forces currently under his command. I would want nothing but to serve you, General. You have led our people well in this war and truly care about our shinobi. I only ask you to spare those among the rebellious ninja clans that surrender, requested Ganryu. Naruto saw the reason for that, as many among the shinobi were from noble clans, a commoner fighting to preserve the nobility. If only Lord Hiro Hagoromo could have realized and respected this loyalty. I am not a butcher, Ganryu. I may have said some words in anger during the battle, but you have my word that any fighter that chooses to surrender shall not lose his life, promised Naruto sincerely. General, protested Mangetsu, earning an understanding nod from the blonde who knew the boy's feelings very well. But no mercy shall be given in battle or to those that were actively involved in the coup or war crimes against their own people. We shall punish all those responsible for betraying our Mizukage Lord Genjutsu, and restore him as the ruler of this nation with full honor, declared Naruto seriously. Ganryu saw his own men were satisfied with that assurance, and so was the previous Mizukage's son alongside the 7 ninja swordsmen. You'll make a great Mizukage yourself someday, General thought Ganryu privately, but he kept those thoughts to himself, knowing where his loyalties had to lie from now onwards. The shinobi got up on his command and joined the feudal warriors. Zabuza chuckled when the shinobi pledged their loyalty, drawing a curious glance from Kisame. What is it? Asked his fellow swordsman. They should have sent fewer men. They would have faced fewer losses, answered Zabuza with a wicked grin. Kisame smirked as he understood the cryptic message as he saw the 10,000-strong army made up of feudal warriors and shinobi alike pledge their absolute loyalty to General Namikaze. I can't think of anybody in Kiri who could have done something like this. Recruiting the very army that came to kill you, whispered Amuri jokingly. Lord Genjutsu chose well, agreed Jinpachi. Haku placed a comforting hand on Mangetsu's shoulder. We will save your father. The general has not abandoned him, and neither have we, she promised him. I only hope we make it in time. Don't stop me from butchering those responsible for this, he warned her, earning a cold smile from his childhood friend. "We will kill them all." Mangetsu smiled and saw the general stepping towards his new army and raising his hand victoriously, earning a thunderous roar from the assembled warriors. "Ganryu, who leads the rebel faction?" asked Naruto seriously. Lord Hiro Hagoromo and Lady Reika Kage launched the coup with the feudal lord's support. They later on appointed Lord Yagura Karatachi as the third Mizukage with the council's support, although it was far from a fair vote, since the remaining clan heads had lost their true Kage and were threatened, revealed Ganryu. "The Karatachi clan? I never thought their desire for power had been this strong," admitted Naruto. For once even he was surprised by this treachery. After all, Lord Yagura had never opposed him and Genjutsu publicly in the past. "He shall burn just like the rest," promised Mangetsu icily, earning a firm nod from Haku as well. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that threat and saw both of these warriors would not be satisfied without creating a river of traitorous blood. That, however, will do more harm to Kirigakure. Mangetsu. The Hozuki heir stepped towards him, and while there was no disloyalty in those eyes, the thirst for blood was apparent, and Naruto realized restraining him would not be possible for long. "Except for Zabuza and Kisame, the rest of the swordsmen will be under your command. So will the 501st and most of the 10,000-strong army here. I want you to take the Forbidden City and kill the feudal lord and his entire clan while rescuing Lord Genjutsu. Can I trust you with this?" asked Naruto seriously. "Of course, General." "But you will not join us?" asked Mangetsu in surprise. "If Kirigakure currently under Yagura's leadership learns that we not only survived but are marching towards the feudal lord's capital, he will send another army to stop us. I'll take a small force alongside Kisame and Zabuza. Together we will recapture Kirigakure, preventing any reinforcements from surrounding your forces, and take back the village so Lord Genjutsu can return as a victorious Kage of this new nation instead of one that has to dirty his hands with traitorous blood," promised Naruto. Mangetsu smiled readily after hearing the plan and surprised everyone, including Naruto, by hugging the Kiri general. "My father is lucky to have a loyal ninja like you." "We all are," said Mangetsu thankfully. Naruto returned the hug and smiled, but didn't tell the boy about the dark possibility of Lord Genjutsu already being dead or getting executed once the daimyo came under attack. Either way, his survival was bleak, and Mangetsu would slaughter everyone in that city if that ever happened. Better that happened in the feudal capital instead of Kirigakure itself in front of all their shinobi, which would only cause more mistrust among ninja clans for their own future. Whoever killed the feudal lord and his family would be cherished by the common people, but it would forever make them a pariah among the remaining noble families, ninjas and civilians alike. It was for these reasons that he had chosen Mangetsu instead of himself. If Mangetsu won and saved his father, he would be known as a hero among the loyalists but become a pariah among the nobility. If he lost and got his father killed, he would be known as a martyr of this nation who laid down his life for their people's future and that of his father. But Naruto's eyes were fixated upon the real target that would not only help them win this civil war, but also help him achieve his own ambitions. Kirigakure. Genjutsu wheezed painfully in the darkness. He felt the stumps that were once his arms scream in agony, but never once in his heart he felt any sorrow for himself, or the decisions that led to this outcome. Gods knew a part of him deserved this for all the sins he had committed in his own life. In the name of power and personal gain, his mistakes that led to the death of all the previous 7 ninja swordsmen, and so many of his comrades while trying to start an unplanned war with IWA for his personal revenge against the Tsuchikage. In the name of upholding noble traditions, he had allowed young ninja of his village to kill each other, all to become the next 7 ninja swordsmen. He would have perhaps walked on that dark path had he not met Naruto Namikaze. The boy had been the only one who stood up to him, showed him his mistakes, made him forcefully acknowledge the suffering and pain endured by their people due to selfish rulers like the daimyo and Genjutsu himself. A selfless soul who risked everything for Kirigakure's future. "I pray you meet a better end than me, child," he prayed for the boy. His throat longed for water, and he may have whispered for it a few times in his stupor and watched a shadow emerge from the darkness. It was a man with long hair wearing a traditional armor similar to a samurai and those worn by warriors from the Clan Wars era long ago. His face was covered behind an orange spiral mask with twin holes from which the man's gaze looked upon the disgraced Mizukage. "Who?" wheezed Genjutsu. The man came forward and brought forth a water pouch from his back. Wordlessly, he offered it to the tortured prisoner, who accepted the small mercy with a grateful smile. Once he was finished drinking the precious liquid, restoring much-needed energy into his main body, he was further surprised when the man mercifully washed off the blood from Genjutsu's face and upper body while also healing quite a few open wounds that eased his pain. "Who are you?" asked Genjutsu once again. "You are a good man, Lord Genjutsu. Very few, if any, could have dared to change the destiny of their nation, even if it meant risking everything one holds dear. It's people like you that gives me hope for humanity, answered the man respectfully. The flame that you have sparked shall soon spread across the world. Shinobi will soon rise to end this continuous cycle of suffering enforced upon us by the feudal system. Know this, that you are not alone in this fight. I am truly sorry it had to come to this point for the people to truly awaken, he continued. Genjutsu smiled and felt as if behind that mask the man returned that gesture. Is it true they sent an army after Naruto and my son? Asked the Mizukage worriedly. They did. But I have faith in the general and all those who follow him. I am a ghost of the past, but when I look at them, I truly believe this world can be changed if good men stand up. You sparked that flame, and for that we'll ensure that the world remembers your sacrifice, promised the masked man. The alliance with the leaf succeeded? Questioned Genjutsu. He got his answer with a surprise when the man's eyes awakened the famous Sharingan. He did it, whispered Genjutsu happily. Kirigaku's future is safe, you ensured it. I wanted you to know that, said the masked man compassionately. What happens next? Asked Genjutsu. It's almost impossible to get you out of here in the present circumstances. The capital is locked down and heavily guarded, but we can still try, proposed the Uchiha. Genjutsu shook his head with a resigned smile. It's too late for me. Don't get yourself killed for my sake. Disgraced and broken as I am, I can still help Naruto's cause. Don't let them publicly execute me. The rebellion against the feudal system in this nation will need martyrs. It's my fate to be the first one, answered Genjutsu resolutely. Are you sure about this, my lord? Asked the masked Uchiha. I am a shinobi even in this state. Don't let them execute me publicly like a common criminal tomorrow. It will only spread fear among the masses, preventing them from overthrowing the feudal lord, requested Genjutsu. The Uchiha looked at him for a long moment before giving a solemn nod. You are the third man whom I have come to respect. A true Kage and shinobi. I shall grant your wish. Genjutsu's eyes widened in shock when the man removed his mask and his Sharingan changed form into a strange new pattern. I, Madara Uchiha, grant you an honorable death. By the time this Genjutsu is over, you shall be with your beloved wife and Kirigaku shall rise from your ashes. Chapter 34 Civil War. 2 weeks later, Naruto was standing in his own tent surrounded by his comrades, old and new on both sides, as they all looked at the map laid out in front of them. How were the results of the joint training? Asked the Kiri general. Very well, general. The men understand our objectives and have synced well with each other's fighting styles. There is always room for improvement, but we can't wait any longer lest our enemies become suspicious, reported Commander Saji, leader of the Kemo Brigade. We are ready for hell, general. The capital will burn alongside the daimyo's clan, promised Erasure, his second in command, drawing a swift glare from Naruto. You will do no such thing, Erasure. The people are not our enemy. Any who raises their hand against them shall face execution with my own hands, warned Naruto fiercely. Naruto, there may be some casualties of innocence in the fighting, pointed Mengetsu. Then you will protect them from dying. A warrior's duty is to protect his people and not terrorize them. This will be an honorable army. Rapers shall be castrated and crucified, murderers of innocents shall be buried alive, and looters shall have their eyes gorged and hands severed. The only one you shall kill in the capital is the daimyo, his clan, and any fighter that stands in the way of that objective. Those that surrender shall be taken alive, ordered Naruto fiercely, his glare daring anyone to argue otherwise. Honorable but dangerous, warned Jinpachi, earning a cold smile from the blonde. Those are my orders. If any of you or your men are against this, then there's no point in starting a civil war. We have to be better than the daimyo, even if it costs us heavily. It's easy to destroy but much harder to sustain. Destruction and terror are remembered for long, but kindness and selfless service are remembered much longer. Win your own people and I promise you one day this world shall be yours, urged Naruto. A tense few moments followed, but the general didn't budge until one by one his supporters nodded their consent in deferment. Who leads the capital's defense? Asked Naruto seriously. General Abe. An honored veteran of the first great ninja war, he's a shrewd leader with a true sense of duty. Do not underestimate him, General Namikaze. As long as he remains in the capital, the royal army will fight till the last man to protect the feudal lord. You must either win him over or defeat him honorably in combat for his army to see the futility of this civil war, although that still might not be enough in the worst case, advised Commander Saji honestly. Naruto placed a strong rock inside the capital and looked at the markings signifying the strong walls and defenses of the city. You must pull the royal army outside the city walls to force a decisive battle. A war of attrition is not something we can afford lest Kirigaku send reinforcements to encircle us. I'll take a 500-strong shinobi force alongside Kisame and Zabuza and stop that from happening. The rest 9,500 warriors, the 501st and you commanders shall join Mangetsu in taking the capital, instructed Naruto. Don't you think you should have more men, General? You are talking of attacking Kirigakure, warned Zabuza. The village is not my enemy, Zabuza. It's the usurper and his followers. I know how to deal with them. By the time I am done, they shall face a punishment worse than death for their crimes, and any that tries to support them shall meet the same fate. I can do it, promised Naruto resolutely. For a moment, they were all taken aback by this show of confidence, but on remembering the general's past exploits, none questioned him further. Very well, Naruto. Is there any suggestion or strategy you can recommend for taking the capital? Asked Mangetsu honestly. Force a decisive battle in your favor outside the city walls. Kill the daimyo as soon as possible to destroy the enemy's morale. How you do it I leave to you, answered Naruto frankly. Surely you'll have more than this to help us? You have never lost a battle. We need your inputs in this important task, implored Amuri with a heavy frown, but was surprised when Naruto still shook his head. An army can't always rely upon one man's brilliance and leadership. Should I fall in battle someday or be unavailable, my troops and people shall not lose hope or be leaderless. This is your chance to be generals in your own right and earn your own legends. Take it. Even so, should you need me I will be there, but don't call unless you are facing the jaws of absolute defeat, explained Naruto earnestly, as he threw one of his special three-pronged kunai towards his fellow swordsman. She grabbed the weapon and gave him a determined nod, making him look at all the other leaders with a hopeful smile. I wish you all good fortune. With those words he bid them farewell and marched towards the exit of the tent with Kisame and Zabuza joining him. As he emerged outside, the ground beneath his feet trembled as the army before him stood at full attention. The look in the eyes of 10,000 warriors swelled him with pride as the rest of the commanders also joined him outside in a few short moments. No matter the odds against you, there is one thing that remains the same for each of you, my warriors. You are required to protect the future of this country against all enemies. It means you shall have to fight till the bloody end against those trying to destroy it, announced Naruto thunderously. Ganryu saw the shinobi around him be galvanized even more with those words and the fire burning in their general's eyes. Your parents, your siblings, your wives and children, your friends and comrades, your countrymen. All these people have placed their trust in you. Make sure, my warriors, that you do not betray that trust or diminish their pride, said Naruto with a proud smile. He received an army of salutes in one swift motion from the army before him and determined nods from the ones who were going to lead it. Now let's go write our own history. Kisame Hashigaki walked towards the front of the column to march alongside Naruto as their 500-strong force advanced towards Kirigakure. It had been a few hours since they departed from the main army heading towards the capital, and he watched the general being more cautious than ever. Instead of rushing towards their village, he was taking a more measured pace and leading from the front, making full utilization of his sensory powers to prevent any ambush. Zabuza also joined them, and so did Ganryu, drawing a curious glance from the blonde. Something on your mind? Asked Naruto calmly. Nothing in particular, Naruto answered Kisame frankly, earning an understanding nod in return. General, is it true that you want to conquer many nations? Asked Ganryu honestly, making Zabuza twitch and glare at the man. Naruto laughed and waved off any apology that his fellow swordsman was about to make for disclosing his goal to a new shinobi commander in their ranks like Ganryu. Sooner or later they would try to do the same to us. I am only trying to protect Kirigakure, answered Naruto. Some men say it's your ambition. I have silenced those voices, but it will take some time for them to believe in you, fully advised Ganryu carefully. Everyone I ever loved is already dead, Ganryu. So are the dreams that we shared together. Even if I conquer the whole world someday, there is no one left to acknowledge that feat. My clan, my family, my friends, my wife and child, they are all gone. All I have left is my loyalty to this nation, its people, and my desire to bring some semblance of order in this chaotic world. I don't know what my fate is, but if I do not even try to do that, then all those people would have died in vain. Choose Mangetsu or anyone else as your new Kage or feudal lord if you wish. I will not object. I have no use for personal glory or power anymore. Kirigakure and our people's future is all that matters to me now, answered Naruto with a faint smile. Even as he confessed to his men, the gravity of that enormous loss haunted his heart. What he wouldn't give to enjoy the simple things in life once again. What price he wouldn't be willing to pay to have all those whom he had lost to be by his side once again. It made him remember his own sins, all the innocents he had killed at Osaka in his revenge. Only when he lost his own wife and child for no fault of their own did he truly understand what he had done to others in the past, and what pain he would inflict in the future for the sake of his own dreams. Kill a warrior, a nation crumbles. Kill their families, you'll awaken a force of vengeance that shall destroy you, whispered Naruto prophetically. Zabuza saw the way those words impacted all the shinobi following them, even if they pretended to not listen to their officer's conversation. Many kunoichi and even few men looked sad, while others gained a newfound respect for the man. But for most it was an important realization that their leader was also an ordinary human with feelings like the rest of them, even if his powers and brilliance were extraordinary. Previously there had been unstated fear in many of these fighters, for their small force was alone going to attack Kirigakure currently held by enemy forces. Naruto's battle prowess and leadership alongside the presence of 2 of the 7 ninja swordsmen had been the only reason they had even agreed to such a suicidal task, and while that fear still lurked to an extent in their hearts, Zabuza also saw a new determination burning in their eyes, for they knew the man leading them truly had their nation's best interests in his heart, and not his personal glory. His own respect for that man went up even higher. He remembered a conversation with Lord Genjutsu not too long ago. "Tell me, Zabuza, is my son comfortable in following Naruto?" The second Mizukage had asked him. "I'm surprised you chose him to lead over your own son. Mangetsu is loyal and follows orders, but I would be lying if a part of his heart is not disappointed with your decision, Lord Second. You even named Naruto as your successor," answered Zabuza truthfully, earning a pained smile from the older man. "A Kage isn't born, Zabuza. He's made by steel and suffering, something which Naruto has endured more than my son," replied Genjutsu honestly. "It takes strong men to rule and lead, my lord," pointed Zabuza, which made Genjutsu nod. "True. But Naruto is more than that. Traitor few of our own clans call him. I laugh, no traitor ever cared so much about our people. Looking at him makes me truly believe that one day he shall change the fate of this nation, and perhaps the ninja world." Looking around, he saw the same belief taking root in the hearts of every shinobi, including Kisame and Ganryu, as they all followed the blonde leading from the front. They didn't know what fate had in store for them, but for the first time in his life Zabuza was proud to follow this man, even if it meant walking into hell together. He had earned their respect with his actions time and again. Maybe someday they would become revered generals in their own right under his leadership. 2 days later, Mangetsu stood on top of one of the numerous hills leading towards the capital, his eyes fixated towards the famous city in the far-off direction. Beside him stood Haku, Commander Saji and Captain Erasure of the Kemo Brigade. Together they waited for several long minutes until 2 silhouettes appeared in the distance, until they materialized themselves as Jinpachi and Amiri. Mangetsu looked them both in the eye as soon as they reached their location. "How is the situation?" he asked them. "Not good. The Imperial Guard is manning each and every pass leading towards the city. They are on alert and fully prepared. The capital will be sealed the moment any fighting breaks out. We spotted barrier markings around all its directions," answered Jinpachi worriedly. General Abe is a cautious man. With his experience, he would have asked his troops to be ready for a counterattack, warned Commander Saji, the leader of the Kemo Brigade. "Mangetsu, they outnumber us. I sense close to 15,000 warriors," reported Amiri hesitantly. "That's the Imperial Guard all right. Expect 1,000 or more of the daimyo's personal guard to be present within the city. 16,000 against 9,500 of our forces. The odds are heavily against us," said Captain Erasure bitterly. "How strong are our forces in comparison to the enemy?" questioned Haku, drawing a grimace from Commander Saji. "I do not doubt the bravery or dedication of my men. However, the Imperial Guard is much better trained, equipped, and organized. In an open battle they could crush us under General Abe. I would never take them on with my 5,000 non-shinobi fighters if we didn't have 4,000 ninjas, the 501st, and you 4-7 ninja swordsmen in our ranks," admitted Commander Saji frankly. Mangetsu listened to all their arguments, and while he outwardly didn't display any hesitation or fear, in his heart he was worried. One wrong move would see his army crushed and his father held captive inside the capital executed. He was also order bound to not harm any innocents in the fighting, an act which he considered foolish. If only Naruto was not so idealistic. He chided himself for such thoughts when he remembered the same man had given him almost the entire army and their best troops while sparing only 500 for his own assault of Kirigakure. Understanding the odds against him and the concerns being discussed among his comrades made him truly understand how difficult it was to lead. His own father had led their nation, and so had Naruto on numerous occasions. He couldn't let either of those men down. Wordlessly, he opened a small scroll holding a map of the entire area and looked at it closely. A small smile came upon his lips as he saw something that could help his predicament. His comrades didn't fail to notice and joined around him. "We'll launch a 3-pronged attack. Diversion, deception and destruction will be the pillars of our strategy," he announced. Amiri and Erasure, You both shall lead a contingent of 2,000 troops and encircle the trade port of Minghir, said Mangetsu decisively, as he pointed at the location on the map some 50 miles from the capital. That's the feudal lord's consort's ancestral home. It will be fairly defended, pointed Commander Saji of the Kemo Brigade. I know. You are not to assault and simply encircle the port. Showcase strength more than you have, advised Mangetsu with a sly smile, drawing a grin from the redhead Kunoichi. Understood, make them shit bricks, agreed Amuri, earning a nod from Captain Erasure as well. If my prediction comes true, the daimyo will rout some of the Imperial Guard to protect his consort's family. When they march your way, Jinpachi, you are to launch a surprise attack on them from the rear with 1,000 of our most fierce warriors. Amuri and her group shall help you complete the pincer movement, suggested Mangetsu, as he pointed at the specific locations of contact. If a portion or more of the Imperial Guard is in danger, General Abe will send heavy reinforcements from the capital, warned Commander Saji, making the Hozuki clan heir nod. Yes, that's why you, Commander Saji, shall take command of 4,000 troops and prepare for an ambush of these incoming reinforcements here. Buy us as much time as possible, while Haku with more than 2,000 of our remaining forces shall remain in hiding near the capital. Once General Abe sends reinforcements from the capital, I'll launch an aerial attack with the 501st and secure the gates. I'll establish a foothold and together we will take the city, declared Mangetsu confidently. While all his comrades nodded one after another, Mangetsu didn't miss the slight worry in their eyes. I know I am not General Naruto or my father, but I promise to fight till my last breath for this army and our mission. Leave General Abe and the capital to me, he promised sincerely. The 7 ninja swordsmen shall stand between the Imperial Guard and our army, agreed Haku, earning firm nods from Jinpachi and Amuri as well. Once again, Commander Saji and his subordinate Erasure were grateful to have switched sides from a regime that considered them to be disposable pawns, towards warriors willing to fight and die for them and the future of this nation. The Kemo Brigade shall fight till the bitter end with all of you, he promised with determination. Forbidden City. Next day, General Abe stood in the royal courtroom as the daimyo entertained himself to artisans that had arrived to sell their wares. The middle-aged man with stark white hair and a heavy beard could only watch in dismay as his feudal lord was more interested in such trivial things when the future of his reign was at stake. They had received no word yet from the force they had sent to capture or kill General Namikaze and his followers. It had been more than 2 weeks now and General Abe couldn't help but worry about the outcome. Best case, the army had achieved their objectives with heavy losses, for General Namikaze and his men were the finest warriors of Kirigakure who would not go down without a brutal fight. Worst case, their army was destroyed by the Kiri general. Or even more dangerous, switch sides. He had warned Lord Kurihara about the grave danger and had only been rebuked for being too fearful. His demand for more reinforcements from Kirigakure and the feudal lord along with the new Mizukage to take care of this problem completely dismissed by his liege. Genjutsu is dead. Our loyalists rule Kirigakure now. The nuisance of a general shall be hunted down sooner or later. Let Yagura deal with it. I have already given him an entire brigade as support. General Abe still hadn't found it in his heart to forgive Lord Yagura the Third Mizukage and his supporters for what they did to Lord Genjutsu. The punishment for treason was death, and the man deserved it for going against the feudal lord, but he deserved to die like a warrior instead of being tortured to death like an animal. But then again, Kirigakure and its shinobi had never known honor. He stopped himself when he remembered reading reports about how General Namikaze had fought on the front lines alongside his troops, reducing casualties drastically, of how he had stood up to the powerful ninja clans of Kirigakure to give the spoils of victory to the families of his martyred troops and the village instead of filling their personal coffers to gain political favors for himself, of how he had behaved admirably during the funeral of his men. His exploits in killing the lightning daimyo were still whispered in the Imperial Guard itself. The same man had fought for the future of the citizens of this nation by eliminating the pirates at Nagi Island and established a possible treaty with the Land of Fire. Soldiers will walk into hell itself for a leader like that, he whispered solemnly, a part of his heart wishing for things to not have gone down this way. If only Genjutsu had seen reason and not tried to disturb the existing political balance. As if his words were prophetic, a messenger was allowed inside the courtroom and immediately rushed to kneel before the feudal lord. My lord, enemy forces have laid siege to Ming, reported the messenger, fear evident in his eyes. The humongous feudal lord got up from his throne more swiftly than Abe had expected and glared murderously at the poor man kneeling before him. Who? He asked furiously. It's General Namikaze's men. Thousands of them have surrounded Lord Kojima and his garrison. They request for your help urgently, my lord, answered the messenger quickly, if only to save his own life from the feudal lord's rage. Unfortunately for General Abe, that anger was now directed at him. How the hell did this happen, General? Asked Lord Kurihara tersely, as he marched towards the older man. We shouldn't have underestimated General Namikaze and his men, my lord. I apologize for not insisting repeatedly for additional forces to make sure he was taken care of earlier, answered General Abe carefully, and bowed his head in apology. The feudal lord paused as he caught the subtle jibe and glared at the Imperial Guard leader. I get your point, General. Now go and deal with this problem before it gets worse, commanded Lord Kurihara frustratedly. I would advise against it, my lord, objected General Abe, making the feudal lord clench his fist angrily. Explain, he ordered, looking far from pleased. Assuming our force sent to subdue the general was defeated, his ranks would have swelled if some of our fighters switched sides, but not enough to face the Imperial Guard in open battle nor capable enough to assault the capital with its solid defenses. I believe this is an attempt to divide our forces in order to attack the capital, which is their real target. Make no mistake, they still believe Lord Genjutsu is alive and held captive. You are their real target, not Lord Kojima, explained General Abe. He saw realization dawn upon the feudal lord and his rage subsided to a great extent. We still can't let them attack our allies. Deal with the problem as you see fit, General ordered Lord Kurihara. Yes, my lord. I'll send 1,000 warriors from the Imperial Guard and recall few reserve companies from the hinterlands. We will surround the enemies laying siege to Ming in 2 days. Together with Lord Kojima's garrison we shall launch a pincer attack on them and wipe them out. In the meantime, I want your permission in securing the capital fully until we assess the true nature of this threat, said General Abe. He could clearly see the daimyo did not look pleased with the suggestion in front of all his political advisors and the royal court. Such a move would depict weakness on his part, and would damage his prestige, but Abe would much rather prefer a living feudal lord with some tarnished image rather than a dead one. It was why he looked at everyone inside the courtroom with the most grim expression he could muster. These are the same men that killed the Land of Lightning's daimyo by going deep behind enemy lines and executing him in a place where he felt most secure. For the sake of this monarchy's future, I beg your support, he requested openly. That instantly did the trick, not only on the daimyo who flinched on being reminded of that dark fact, but more importantly each and every political advisor and various lords backed the move to seal the capital swiftly. With their consent and full backing, General Abe turned towards his men and relayed his orders instantly. Deep in his heart, he felt a familiar feeling of excitement along with dread rise up, as after a long time he would be facing a foe worthy of respect. Let us see who outsmarts the other, General. Kirigakure. Ganri got a smile on his face when he saw the familiar mountains of the Mist Village emerge on the far horizon. The ever-present mist continued to shroud the entire village sans the fierce and tall mountains at the far end. It also made him nervous, for they were now neck-deep in enemy territory with an extremely small army. He saw General Namikaze shared his worries and had already activated his infamous red eyes. Ganryu would be lying if he didn't find them intimidating. Having fought a few Uchihos during his life, he knew the general's eyes were not like the dojutsu, but they were pretty close. Maybe an ancestor of his was from that clan. Send a water clone, Zabuza instructed Naruto. The bulky swordsman grunted but created a water clone nonetheless that slid down from the hill they were perched upon and swiftly ran in the direction of Kirigakure. It had not even sprinted a few hundred yards before it simply melted away in the blink of an eye. He looked at the general and saw a grim smile arrive upon his lips. Zabuza, take the left flank, Kisame take the right flank. Ganryu, follow my lead down the center. It's time for our decisive battle, commanded Naruto with determination burning in his red eyes. Each of the 3 officers nodded immediately as the 500-strong force jumped down the hill following after Naruto, who led the charge. He watched Zabuza and Kisame divide half of their force into their respective flanks while the rest followed Ganryu, charging right behind Naruto himself. Quickly their entire force made a few set of hand seals and multiplied their numbers 3-fold as Naruto finished performing a set of his own hand seals. Wind style. Destructive wave. Unleashing a powerful barrage, he watched as the heavy corrosive mist across the entire area was dispersed instantly, and they came face to face with the enemy waiting for them at the gates. In front of them were thousands of shinobi, led by warriors from the Kagaya and Hagoromo clans. Yugura Karatachi stood on top of the village walls looking at the rebel army in front of him with an ice-cold gaze devoid of any mercy. He watched as Naruto brought his charge to a halt as both men glared at each other. For the sake of your men in this village, I order you to surrender, Naruto, declared Yugura calmly. Funny, Lord Hiro Hagoromo said the same before he was destroyed at an atomic level, his ashes never to be found again, answered Naruto mercilessly. A cold smile arrived on his lips when many Kiri shinobi loyal to the new Mizukage flinched and took a step back, But the most outraged was the Hagoromo clan that went ballistic on hearing of their leader's fate, and was about to charge him blindly until Yagura yelled them into submission. At least for now. In that case you have left me with no choice. As the third Mizukage, I order your execution on this battlefield alongside all who stand with you, said Yagura mercilessly. To his surprise, not a single one of Naruto's men backed away in fear. Instead, their resolve and killing intent hardened further. I do not know or care as to why you did this, Yagura, but by the time we are done with you, the Karatachi, Kage, and Hagoromo clans will be erased from the history of this village. We shall destroy the very memory of every traitor that dared to raise his sword against Lord Second. I shall give you and all those who follow you a fate worse than death, proclaimed Naruto fiercely. Many in the Kiri ranks wavered when he magnified his killing intent until Yagura gave a signal, bringing forth a monster that made Naruto's forces take several steps back in fear instead. We'll give you the same fate you bestowed upon Lord Hagoromo, then answered Yagura with a cold smile. The monster that was once human and someone whom Naruto cared about roared furiously, shaking the entire area and each and every fighter on both sides. Its 5 tails flew wildly in the air even as a team of sealing specialists tried their level best to prevent the beast from attacking their own forces and push it towards Naruto's direction instead. What have they done? Chapter 35, A Price for Peace. Kirigakure. Yagura was satisfied on seeing the conflicted look on Naruto's face as he watched a nearly transformed Meitorumi placed in front of his forces. The clan heiress was just one step away from a full transformation, something which the sealing masters were preventing for now but could let happen should the situation demand. He had nothing against the girl. In fact, he sympathized with her condition more than anyone else in this village. But her father, Lord Torumi, had refused to accept Yagura's rule and stayed defiantly loyal to the dethroned Lord Genjutsu Hozuki. Loyal but foolish action that got him incarcerated in the dreaded dungeons of their village, his clan taken hostage. It broke his young daughter's heart, who volunteered her services in order to protect her father and fellow clansmen. When Yagura had told her of Naruto's approach towards the village, she had been elated at first and later horrified when she learned of his plans for her. He had promised to release her father and clansmen should she help him deal with the last threat to his rule. The girl had teared up, and in that moment, he had clearly seen the amount of respect she had for the general in her eyes. He saw the same admiration and loyalty in the eyes of the general's men as they rallied around him, led by Zabuza and Kisame. They were outnumbered, severely under-equipped, and faced 2 Jinchuriki and Kiri's most fierce clans. Be careful, Yagura. He already killed one of us in the past. Yagura blinked in shock on hearing the tailed beast inside of him speak for the first time in years. When he had been younger, the 3 tails had tried to use fear to torment him, but when that didn't work, it had tried to take over his body during his weakest moments. Only when the Karatachi clan leader had shown that he was no pushover did the beast stop and retreat away in isolation, waiting for a chance to strike once more. I know you want to be free, Isabu. But you cannot scare me, rebuked Yagura, making the large turtle laugh out loud. We tailed beasts are connected to each other. You humans have used us for generations, but none have tormented one of my own more than the shinobi in front of you. I could feel her pain, hear her screams, and experience the terror she felt before she was murdered. With her dying breath, the 2 tails had given the rest of us a glimpse of her killer so we could avenge her should we cross paths with him one day, said Isaba seriously. I haven't heard of any such incident. Denied Yagura, distrust clearly present in his heart, making the tailed beast sigh. The real truth is mostly never revealed in this damned shinobi world. I didn't care about it too much, and kept my silence till now, but your actions have brought both me and the 6 tails in direct conflict with this man. We don't care about your silly civil war, but would want to prevent ourselves from facing a gruesome death. Ask the sealing masters to let the Jinchuriki loose. The 6 tails Saiken would take care of the rest. Have your army deal with his forces while you join me in dealing with the most important threat. I'll even lend you my power willingly. Deploy barrier arts with the help of sealing masters or you won't survive, advised Isabu honestly. Yagura was left speechless as he clearly felt the unstated fear and anxiety in the tailed beast. Surely you aren't afraid of one man, Isabu? Asked Yagura hesitantly. There is a lot you don't know about him, fool. He was a teenager when he killed a Biju. His men defeated the Kinkaku and wiped out an entire Kumogakure mountain warfare battalion before being eliminated. If we survive this, I'll tell you everything. Damn you for forcing me into this position, cursed Isabu. Yagura felt the beast's chakra flow through his entire body quickly and for the first time felt nervous about the upcoming battle. He quickly gestured the sealing masters with a new set of orders, much to their surprise, while also providing Reika Kagaya, the leader of her clan and in charge of his ground forces, to start their attack. With a fierce war cry, he jumped off the village's walls and joined the battle. Naruto heard the fierce war cry of the enemy army before they launched their offensive under the leadership of Reika Kage and her bloodthirsty clansmen. His own forces were outnumbered nearly 3-1 as Kisame and Zabuza took up lead positions on their respective flanks. He also saw Yagura stepping on the battlefield and conferring with his sealing masters currently holding back Mei. Looking at his own men, he saw their fear but also their determination to emerge victorious despite the odds. "Stick to our battle plan and follow your leaders. Hold your ground," he commanded fearlessly. His army roared in unison, which only emboldened the enemy forces charging towards them. Quickly performing a set of hand seals, the Kiri general slammed his right palm on the ground. Earth-style, shockwave. Reika Kage felt the ground beneath her feet tremble rapidly, making many of her warriors lose their footing and fall flat on the ground. The more experienced ones managed to stay on their feet and join their nearest comrade in stabilizing each other together by forming tight clusters. She saw a cold smile arrive on Naruto's lips as Zabuza, Kisame, and Ganryu charged forward to throw multiple scrolls high above Reika's clustered and disarrayed army. Multiple blinding flashes enveloped her vision, and by the time it was restored her men were dying by the dozen with shrapnel rounds raining down heavily from the ninja scrolls. They had a devastating effect on the clustered groups of her forces who had not yet regained their footing, had their vision reduced severely, and were swiftly counterattacked. She cursed when the slaughter further enraged her ever hot-blooded Kage clansmen even more as they recklessly charged towards the Kiri general. Earth-style, elevation. Instead of an open field, Naruto made the very earth itself rise up so that his entire force was now standing upon an elevated patch of land with the enemy now forced to fight an uphill battle to reach their target. A hail of explosive kunai and shuriken tore down the fools from Reika's forces that tried to charge up the hill. She brought her remaining forces to halt and ordered them to reorganize their broken lines while carefully eyeing the enemy position with a begrudging respect. She had expected to fight rebel forces and had now realized this was a well-trained army that had prepared well for such a confrontation under their general. It clearly showed when their front line was composed of heavy swordsmen and melee fighters led by Zabuza and Kisame, probably taijutsu specialists as well. In the middle, Reika saw Ganryu organize some of their village's finest genjutsu specialists, while in the rear a clone of Naruto worked with a group of ninjas who quickly created a large red-colored barrier over their entire force save for a small opening at the front line. A kill zone. Still, it didn't change her objective, and she was about to give the order for a frontal charge when she felt a huge chakra buildup. Looking behind, she saw Mei launch a small baijidama right towards the elevated position of Naruto's army. The general charged outside the barrier and threw a three-pronged kunai towards the approaching tailed beast bomb. He also threw another kunai right towards one of the far-off mountains, and clasped his hands together in order to teleport the attack. To his horror, nothing happened at all as his kunai was consumed by the tailed beast bomb which kept on advancing towards his position. He tried to teleport himself and met with the same result as his eyes caught sight of the sealing masters now spread across the entire battlefield. Anti-teleportation markers thought Naruto with a grudging respect as his foe had realized his most lethal trump card and had decided to deny him its usage. Traits of a smart enemy commander. Dark ash-colored chakra leaked from his body swiftly as he extended his right hand forward. Ash release. Particle annihilation. An equally monstrous explosion clashed with the baijidama in the air as their combined power rocked the entire land in its fury. The attack, while not causing any casualties on either side miraculously due to its occurrence high in the sky, also launched a devastating shockwave that sent many shinobi flying away, Naruto included. As he crashed back inside the barrier he coughed blood and felt at least one of his ribs break instantly. Zabuza saw fear ripple through their men on seeing their general crash like that even as Ganryu rushed to help the blonde get back on his feet. The enemy saw it too as they renewed their charge on the hill. "Kisame!" he shouted furiously, earning a feral grin from his fellow swordsmen as both of them performed a similar set of hand signs. Water style. 10 water dragons. Reika Kage had mimicked their actions and launched her own water dragons as a counterattack, but her power was no match against the combined might of the two swordsmen as few of their water dragons broke through and crashed upon the enemy forces. Dozens of them were swept away in the wave as Zabuza turned towards their men. "Let's send them all to hell," he yelled murderously. Kisame smiled when his fellow swordsman actually led a countercharge with a courage never seen before. Without waiting for anyone else he joined his comrade as both the 7 ninja swordsmen descended upon their enemies with their full killing intent, causing the nearest ones to run in fear. Zabuza gave them no mercy as his giant blade severed at least 5 enemies in half and skewered many more through the heart. Kisame on the other hand went straight for the serpent's head and charged straight towards Reika Kage, who procured 2 bone-shaped spears from her back. Water style. Water bullets. Kisame's swift attack struck down the Kage clansmen trying to get in the way of their matriarch's doom. He smirked when bloodthirsty cries were heard from the rear as their men joined the brutal melee after watching the fearless charge initiated by two of their leaders. The swordsman, however, was alarmed when he saw a transformed Mei and Yagura himself charging forward to protect the Kage clan leader. His concern was answered when Naruto himself jumped in between their path and gave a reassuring nod to Kisame. "Leave them to me, Kisame," he said confidently despite his wounds. "I'll see you in hell otherwise," General answered Kisame with a crooked smile. Most of the people he knew would have interpreted his message wrongly, but Naruto simply laughed boisterously and gave him a respectful nod acknowledging his fellow swordsman's promise of fighting under his flag till the very end despite all the odds. With that determination and respect, Kisame charged fearlessly towards the Kage matriarch. Yagura rushed forward alongside his guard as his gaze remained fixated on the transformed Mei that rapidly charged towards the wounded Naruto, who stood in between them and his army currently fighting against Reika's forces. He saw the blood dripping from the rogue general's lips, clearly signaling he had suffered some injury in the earlier attack. The man sank to one knee and clasped both his hands together in a ram sign. As Mei came extremely close to him, dark marks started spreading across her entire transformed state, eliciting a painful scream from the female jinchuriki. Blood also flew from Naruto's eyes and nose as he clasped his hands even more fiercely as the first chakra tail from Mei's back disappeared, followed by another, and another. "He's suppressing the power of a Biju?" thought Yagura in horror. "There's no mistaking it. His chakra feels very similar to Hashirama Senju, the man who captured all of us tailed beasts. Those eyes of his are also similar to the Sharingan, if not the accursed Dojutsu fully. Yagura, he has the Uchiha and Senju blood in him, the power once possessed by the Sage of Six Paths himself. Don't let him touch you or we'll end up in the same situation as the Six Tails right now," warned the three-tailed beast quickly. The third Mizukage saw merit in that advice when Mei crashed on the ground with more of her tails vanishing until only one remained. Naruto got up to advance towards her in order to deliver the finishing blow when a strange purple-colored mist descended all around him. He channeled additional chakra and performed a wind-style jutsu dispersing the mist, but was shocked when he found himself stranded in a battlefield full of corpses. The familiar sight of Rezan La Pass haunted him, where on the battlefield lay the corpses of his martyred Spartan comrades. The scene changed once more, only this time he found himself outside Kirigakure's walls with his entire army slaughtered once again. "You will die here, boy," whispered a beastly voice from all around him, making him smirk. I remember the two tails wishing the same taunted Naruto, as he punched himself straight across one of his broken ribs. The severe pain made the genjutsu disappear just in time as Yagura and Mei jumped towards him in their transformed state. Grabbing Muramasa from his back, he threw it swiftly towards Mei, impaling the female jinchuriki straight through her upper chest, sending her flying away. Water style, water bullets. He fired hundreds of water bullets from his mouth as the Mizukage dived into a rapid maneuver response in order to save himself from the torrent of vicious attacks. "You're not the man you are pretending to be, General." "I know that now," answered Yagura mysteriously with a heavy frown. "I could say the same to you," Yagura retorted Naruto disappointedly. "There are things that I know about you, General. Secrets that you have kept from all of us, including your trusted soldiers. If only they knew the real you," said Yagura bitterly, as he watched the valiant fight being put up Naruto's forces under Zabuza and Kisame's leadership to the point that Reika was struggling despite more numbers on her side. Naruto frowned on hearing those words and was quite confused when he saw three tails present on Yagura's back without the man transforming into the monster within him completely. "Three tails, you have your Biju's support," declared Naruto, as Yagura's eyes changed completely. "Not just mine," replied the jinchuriki in a demonic voice. The Kiri general heard a thunderous roar as multiple tails again emerged from Mei's body as they removed Muramasa lodged inside of her far away. With a fearsome rage, she joined alongside Yagura with six tails flowing from her back. "You'll pay for what you did to the two tails," roared the female jinchuriki in a frightening demonic tone. "So the tailed beasts are actually cooperating with each other and their hosts without killing them to bring me down." "I'm honored," answered Naruto with a cold smile. "We don't like them much either. But staying with them is a much better choice than what you may have planned for us," spat the three tails bitterly. "You are darkness, a man who shall destroy everything in this world to quench your own thirst. Under the current system we shall at least live, under you our future is doomed. The way you butchered our fellow tailed beast is proof enough of your hatred for us," accused the six tails angrily. "The two tails shall die 1,000 more such deaths if we ever cross paths again," promised Naruto mercilessly, the memories of what the monster had done to his brother and Spartan comrades still afresh in his heart. His killing intent flared tremendously as he disappeared, only to flash right in front of Yagura to land a solid punch on the man's jaw, sending him flying away. He watched as the two beasts joined up together and started transforming right before his eyes. In less than a few seconds, he found himself facing the infamous three-tailed turtle and six-tailed slug in their full glory. The sight of the two-tailed beasts instantly stopped all fighting between the two armies, as nearly everyone from either side quickly ran to whatever they perceived was a safe distance. The notable exceptions being Kisame and Zabuza, previously engaged in a duel with Reika Kage, who was also watching the development with a horrified expression. A part of that hesitation lurked somewhere in Naruto's own heart as the two beasts glared at him, unleashing their full killing intent all upon him. Their combined power enough to make him sink to his knees and despair to overcome his heart. He looked around and was relieved to find the sealing masters previously holding the anti-teleportation markers had also ran away in order to save themselves from the wrath to be unleashed by two murderous Biju. Biting his thumb, Naruto quickly performed a set of hand seals he had not used in the past decade. Summoning Jutsu, a huge plume of smoke covered the entire area immediately until another ferocious roar shook each and every fighter, as they found the Kiri general now standing upon a monstrous dark-skinned wolf with murderous red eyes, the same as his summoner. "We had a pact, boy. You were not to summon us until told otherwise," growled the fearsome wolf menacingly, only to earn a gentle smile from the blonde. "It's good to see you too," Shara said Naruto honestly. The wolf saw the two-tailed beasts in front of them as understanding dawned upon him as Naruto knelt to place a comforting hand over his head. "I honored your wishes for a decade and have no intention of dragging your entire clan into doomed conflicts. But if this is to be my last battle, I would like it to be beside an old friend. Let the Namikaze clan fade into history alongside their trusted battle partners," requested Naruto. "My father fought beside your mother until her death. Before he died a few years ago, he asked me to uphold my clan's honor and loyalty." "What is it you truly desire?" asked Shara honestly. "To regain what was lost and create a better world," answered Naruto truthfully. "How far are you willing to go for that?" questioned Shara. "Until death and beyond." The giant wolf glanced at him for a long moment to realize that this was not the same boy he had left a decade ago, one blindly bound to his nation and village leader. He could feel the power residing within the blonde, but most of all he saw the determined look in the man's eyes. "A world of peace, a world of truth, a world free of war. That is my dream," said Naruto frankly. "Impossible. Such a thing is not possible in this shinobi world and for humanity," refuted Shara, earning a chilling smile from his summoner in return. "It is why I have declared total war upon them both to achieve that dream. The question remains whether you shall side with me or against me. The choice is yours," whispered the blonde. The three-tailed turtle roared at the moment, unleashing an ocean of water from its mouth, as Naruto unleashed his own counterattack instantly. Fire style, majestic destroyer flame. Fire clashed against water until it turned completely into a battle of willpower, as three-tailed turtle channeled more and more of its massive chakra into the tidal wave, making it push back Naruto's flames rapidly. The six-tailed slug used that moment to charge towards them wildly. "No! You don't!" yelled Naruto furiously. A long earthen spear emerged from the ground to impale the slug mercilessly and halted its charge. Dark ash-colored chakra released from Naruto's body merged with his fire-style attack, making it even more fiercer, and pushed back against the three-tailed beast's water attack. In that moment, Shara saw his summoner's determination clearly as he fought against two-tailed beasts for the sake of his dream. There was no fear, no hesitation, no regret in those red eyes, just a terrifying determination of achieving his dream. "So the pup has finally become a wolf of his own," whispered the veteran wolf with a smile, earning a smirk from Naruto. The giant wolf gave his summoner a firm nod before he charged forward through the flames and water to directly give a crushing headbutt straight to the three-tailed turtle's face, sending it crashing away. Naruto laughed at the sheer might of his battle partner, earning an equally infectious grin from the beast. Together they turned towards the immobilized six tails, who launched hundreds of large bubbles in their direction. The Kiri general sensed the enormous chakra within those attacks, making him immediately give a cryptic signal to his partner. As the beast swelled its chest, Naruto also completed his own set of hand seals simultaneously. "Wind style, bomb blast dance!" yelled Shara, unleashing a whirlwind of sharp torrents straight towards the incoming army of bubbles. "Lightning style, electromagnetic murder!" said Naruto, channeling devastating lightning bolts from his clasped hands that were thrown all over the area, striking each and every bubble with the help of the swirling wind current, unleashing fearsome explosions. The six tails shielded itself from the explosions by bringing few of its tails forward, but was quite stunned when the fearless wolf charged through the chaos protected by an aura of ash-colored chakra across its entire body thanks to its summoner, water release, starch syrup. The six tails unleashed a large amount of water from its mouth that swept across the land instantly. Unmindful of the incoming wave, Shara continued charging forward until suddenly he was brought to an instant halt. Looking downwards, he saw the tidal wave of water had now transformed into a sticky liquid river that had stopped him in his tracks completely. He tried to free himself, but to no avail, and it was then he heard another ferocious roar from behind. Naruto saw the three-tailed turtle harmlessly navigating through this dreaded river and charging straight towards his trap summon with a terrifying killing intent. "Keep six tails engaged. I'll deal with the other one," instructed Naruto, as he produced a dozen kunai from his pouches. Swiftly he threw them all in the direction of the three tails, but each and every one of the weapons simply bounced off its thick skin, making it smirk victoriously. That feeling vanished when he saw Naruto smile knowingly as dark marks started spreading across its entire body from the places where those kunai had hit. The beast felt a foreign chakra invade his entire body and trying to tame his power, to which he fought back violently by summoning all his rage and hatred. To his surprise, the foreign chakra fought back even more defiantly and with a ferocity that stunned the Biju. In that moment he felt himself being connected to the man behind this power. He felt the pain and sheer rage burning inside the blonde's heart as the general roared murderously, bringing the Biju to its knees completely. The turtle unleashed a devastating shockwave in desperation which struck his enemy head-on, flinging him off his summon and making him crash land brutally into the watery surface hundreds of yards below. For a moment, Naruto felt his world turning completely dark, making him wonder if he had met his end. Then his entire body screamed in pain as he felt some of his broken bones groaning fiercely in protest. He faintly saw the three-tailed beast advancing towards a trapped Shara now that his summoner was injured. "I won't let it end here. Until my mission is fulfilled, I shall keep moving forward," he thought with determination, as he fully expanded his sensory powers to feel the energy that had always relied around him. Shara had been bracing himself for a deadly brawl with the two approaching Biju until the watery surface beneath his feet evaporated instantly. Using that sudden advantage, he created some distance from his opponents, but found their attention to be totally directed in a different direction. There stood in the middle of the battlefield a monster like none seen before, its entire form made up of sheer darkness. It was humanoid in shape with three demonic-looking heads facing different directions with their glowing red demonic eyes. In its right hand it held a staff-like weapon, and in its left it controlled a series of pulsating dark orbs. In the beast's core floated a man, his dark slit red eyes glaring murderously at the Biju in front of him, the sage chakra gathered in his body now also being shared with the monstrosity of his own creation, giving it an even more frightening appearance. "Impossible!" whispered the three-tailed turtle in fear. "It's just like the old man," said the six-tailed slug, as it took a few steps back when Naruto's merciless gaze connected with him directly. "You called me darkness? Destroyer of this world?" asked the blonde fearlessly. The tailed beast remained silent, which only made him smile at them coldly and without any hesitation present in his heart. "I have your creator's blood in my veins. It's because I am of his line that I understand how his wish for a peaceful and gentle world was trampled upon by his descendants and humanity. So I, Naruto Namikaze, shall destroy this broken system and create a new one. Surrender, and you shall have a place there too. Resist and be erased forever," promised Naruto without hesitation. "Is that a Susanoo?" asked the three-tailed turtle privately through his telepathic link with his fellow beast. "No, he doesn't seem to have a Mangekyo or a normal Sharingan, even if his eyes look somewhat similar to that dojutsu. I feel a strong mixture of yin and yang chakra in that monstrosity. Remember, the old man used yin release, a form of spiritual energy, to imagine our creation, and created our forms out of the 10 tails, while using yang release, a form of physical energy, to give life inside our forms. I think he created this monster on the same principles. But, do it so quickly in the middle of a battle while being injured. He really is something," answered the six-tailed slug frankly. "That thing is pure energy?" asked the three tails in disbelief. "Remember what the two tails Matatabi told us before her death 10 years ago. That her enemy was a formidable shinobi whose greatest strength was his speed and ability to continuously absorb chakra from all forms of life and nature itself. The perfect weapon who can keep on fighting as long as there were new sources to replenish his spent battle energy. The ninja world calls us monsters, yet they created one of their own," whispered the six tails nervously. "You think we can take him?" asked his fellow tailed beast seriously. "We have no choice. Such power does not come without a cost. If my guess is right, he is burning through his vital life force to maintain it. We need to maintain our distance, and prolong the battle for as long as possible to weaken him, followed by attacking him with our combined might. Come, Isaba, replied the Six Tails fiercely, earning a grin from the giant turtle. Yeah, don't go bossing me around, Saiken. They both were quite surprised when Naruto smiled at them before he vanished in the blink of an eye. Before the tailed beasts could get over their shock, the humanoid monster appeared right in between them in a black flash. It speared the staff in its right hand clean through the Six Tails' chest, effectively pinning him to the ground while simultaneously launching the dark orbs that struck the three-tailed turtle and sent him flying away, followed by a thunderous explosions as the orbs exploded in a violent flash of light. Teleportation jutsu. I should have known. He used the markings placed on Isabu's body earlier to transport his monstrosity right between us. That's why he allowed us to join together and waited for his chance, thought Saiken painfully. He screamed when the staff lodged in its chest was twisted by the blonde and could feel all of his energy started to being sucked dry by the weapon. Sansen. Naruto's eyes widened when the slug released a barrage of corrosive gas in desperation, which made him use the teleportation jutsu quickly to avoid getting caught in the attack. That, however, made him transport himself to the earlier markings, the three tails. He had not yet regained his balance when the beast charged towards him murderously, intending to deliver a powerful strike up close now that he had the perfect chance. Just when it was about to come into contact with the blonde, Shara jumped in between and took the heavy blow. The wolf was sent crashing away and screamed in pain as coral started growing rapidly across his entire body, making his summoner instantly appear by his side and break the dangerous chain reaction by inserting sage energy that not only stopped the infection but also helped wipe it out eventually. That, however, allowed the three-tailed beast the opportunity to advance towards his real target as he continued charging forward towards his trapped fellow beast and grasped the staff, pinning him down only for it to vanish completely. Looking back, he saw the weapon now materializing back in the hands of the humanoid monster controlled by Naruto. How did you do this? Asked Shara to his summoner as he was helped to get back on his feet. To defeat these monsters, I needed one of my own. I wished for it, and the power inside of my answered that call. Maybe I was just extremely lucky, answered Naruto seriously. No, it's because of your bloodlines. You have the Uchiha and Senju blood in you. Apart from being a descendant of the Namikaze clan, when those powers are combined, it gives birth to a new force. Traditionally, the Namikaze clan fighters were good warriors, but none too powerful like this except for your mother and you. Now I understand why, whispered Shara. He was quite shocked when Naruto clutched his chest and vomited a lot of blood as the humanoid monster started to waver. Are you alright? Shara asked urgently, watching as the blonde took several deep breaths painfully. I don't have long or much chakra left. This power is consuming my life force like none other. Quite possibly I may have already lost a few years of my life, and if I keep on using it even more, replied Naruto tiredly, as he tried to restore his hazy vision while fighting back the screaming pain from each and every cell in his body. What do you need me to do? Asked Shara quickly. Engage the three tails and keep him occupied. I'll handle the six tails first before joining you, directed Naruto. Then let's separate them first, suggested the wolf, earning a weak grin from his summoner as he performed a set of hand seals that the animal had been quite familiar with. Fire style, artillery barrage. Dozens of raging fireballs started raining from the skies, heading right towards the two-tailed beasts who had managed to get back on their feet. Realizing the danger, they looked towards the skies raining fireballs to unleash their own counterattack. Baijidama, launching tailed beast bombs from their mouths, they were quite satisfied when their attack completely obliterated Naruto's jutsu. As the three tails turned towards the battlefield, it was alarmed to find the giant wolf had used that opportunity to charge forward fearlessly, and before he could react, a swift thrashing from the beast sent the turtle flying away. Shara roared fiercely as he pounced upon the down-tailed beast, and used his claws to gorge its lone eye, making it howl in agony. The six tails turned to help his breather, only to wheeze painfully as a staff pierced his chest from behind as the humanoid monster controlled by Naruto flashed to his rear using the markings made on his body earlier. It felt all of its chakra being consumed by that deadly weapon as he started to shrink in size, watching as the merciless wolf continued mauling his fellow tailed beasts brutally. Gudadama! Saiken flinched in horror as 9 dark orbs were created right in front of him. He started to thrash furiously, but the staff kept him rooted and continued sucking his chakra off. Helpless, he watched 3 of them fly towards Isabu as the giant wolf kept the beast pinned down. Looking back, he saw the sheer determination and hatred present in those red eyes. Now I know why you lost, Matatabi, he thought weakly, as nearly all of his chakra was now sucked away by the staff. Are you going to kill us now? He asked tiredly. No. I have nothing personal against you, and your death will only kill Mei, whom I care about, answered Naruto honestly. You killed one of us, accused Saiken angrily, earning a solemn nod from the blonde. She killed someone very dear to me, and for that I took my vengeance. That is all, replied Naruto without remorse. Saiken watched as the three dark orbs clashed against Isabu's tails, making him scream as he started to disappear. Why are you not killing him? You don't want to spare his host Yagura who betrayed you? Questioned Saiken curiously. I am not a butcher. Yagura shall pay for his treachery in ways worse than death, I'll make sure of it. As for the three tails, it can live as long as it avoids harming this village and its people, clarified Naruto, only to frown as the giant slug laughed. Live as a slave. All you humans are the same, using us for your own benefit. Yet you call us monsters, whispered Saiken bitterly. Naruto blinked in surprise after hearing those words, as he was reminded of his own Spartan comrades who were used and thrown away by their own nation and leadership. For the first time in his life, he felt the pain lurking inside of Biju's heart, since their powers were joined together at the moment. They were not heartless monsters as he had imagined his entire life, but living beings with their own thoughts and wishes. Humanity shouldn't have done this to you. For whatever it's worth, I apologize for that sin, whispered Naruto sincerely. Saiken was left speechless, and could only stare at one of the few humans after this sage of six paths who had even showed any ounce of thought or compassion towards a tailed beast. There are a lot of things wrong in this world, which is why I want to change it. Maybe someday we can fight alongside as fellow warriors instead as enemies. Saiken's eyes widened in shock, and he saw the fading Isabu also looked quite surprised with the blonde's sincerity. It was a stark contrast to what they had been led to believe all these years by the two tails. Do you really mean that? Asked Saiken hesitantly. An enemy is coming for this world, one that seeks to destroy us all. Sooner or later all of us will have to join forces to face that threat. My goal is to unite humanity and change the fate of this cursed shinobi world. I don't know how I can help you, tailed beasts, but if you are willing to cooperate with me, then I promise to at least find a way to improve your situation, answered Naruto honestly. We'll think about it. Naruto nodded respectfully as both tailed beasts vanished, leaving behind their hosts that crashed to the ground completely unconscious and badly wounded. The Kiri general then turned towards the scattered enemy army and Reika Kagaya, all of whom were now looking at his terrifying monster with a newfound fear and respect. Looking back, Shara found most of the Kiri villagers also emerging from their shelters and homes now that some of the brave ones among them who had risked their life to watch the deadly battle had announced the fall of the third Mizukage and the twin-tailed beasts. Naruto pointed his staff weapon straight at Reika Kagaya, making her flinch and take a step back. What is your choice? Kisame and Zabuza grinned victoriously when Reika lowered her head, followed by throwing her weapons to the ground. She was quite surprised when the staff was still pointed right at her. The message was clear. Much to the shock of the remaining loyalist forces, their now highest-ranking commander knelt before the Kiri general. We surrender. The responsibility for this conflict rests with me, Lord Yagura, and Lord Hiro Hagoromo. While we deserve no forgiveness, I only ask you to be merciful towards our clansmen who followed us out of blind loyalty, declared Reika begrudgingly. The rest of her forces soon started laying down their weapons one after another, eliciting fierce cheering from Naruto's own forces, who started taking the prisoners into custody, and were soon joined by enthusiastic cheering from the villagers that came out of their homes. Shara stepped beside his summoner, watching the celebrations starting all over the Mist village, showing Yagura's regime had been successful in usurping power, but not the hearts of their own people, which belonged to Lord Genjutsu and his men. I guess it's over, commented the wolf, but was surprised to see Naruto shake his head. This was just a sideshow. The real thing is yet to come. Yuzushi Ogakure. Hanzo Uzumaki had been Yuzukage for many years now. He had watched Kage's rise and fall, but was seeing one so young for the very first time. In front of him was the astral projection of none other than Lord Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage. I see you have understood how to use this communication technology, Lord Hokage, said Hanzo calmly, earning a grateful nod from the young Kage in return. We are thankful for your generous contribution to our cause. This new technology will only help us coordinate our war effort better instead of relying on time-consuming and risky traditional communication channels, agreed Hiruzen with an appreciative smile. The Uzumaki are happy to help their allies anytime. Although I'm curious to know the reason behind this call? Questioned Hanzo. It's regarding your operative in Kiri. Hanzo narrowed his gaze as he had a pretty good idea as to whom the young Hokage was referring to, a man whose loyalties were a cause of worry for the Yuzukage himself. As he listened to Hiruzen's explanation of the recent negotiations between Kirigakure and Konohagakure, he could not help but be left speechless. The most shocking being the fact that his operative Naruto Namikaze, originally named Minato, had been a son of Tobirama Senju all along. Inoue, you truly were a clever woman. To think you managed to keep such an important fact hidden from me, thought Hanzo begrudgingly. While Tobirama-sensei and Lady Mito seem to trust him, I have my doubts, certainly after the unfortunate incident with his wife. The fact that he fell in love with an allied operative and started considering her as his real wife, even being as reckless as to father a child with her while being on such a deep undercover mission, does not give me much faith in him, said Hiruzen seriously. Minato had always been a child driven by his emotions. It began with his affection for his adoptive father, then his mother and stepbrother, followed by his Spartan comrades. When all of them were gone, it was their memories that kept him going, commented Hanzo honestly. Minato, huh? How many in Yuzen know his real name? Asked Hiruzen seriously. Just me. There were other elders who also knew, but they have passed away over the past decade. The way you describe him, and from the reports I have got from another operative, deep down he may be the same emotional boy whom we raised, but in reality he has become a different person, just like his new name Naruto, Namikaze admitted Hanzo with a nostalgic smile. We are worried about his loyalties. I'm surprised you are not, Lord Hanzo, said Hiruzen with a heavy frown, making the older Kage chuckle. It's because I know that while he may harbor a bitter heart towards me, he's still a proud and loyal shinobi of Uzushi-Ogakure, even if he has to be reminded of his true allegiance at times. Although I cannot be sure of his intentions for your village after what happened with Ino, and your side's botched involvement in that affair, said Hanzo with a sly smile. Hiruzen bristled and clenched his fist at the very subtle threat. As Hokage, it's my duty to protect my village. Any act of treachery or vengeance on his behalf will make the alliance between our villages null and void. Neither of us want that to happen in these difficult times, do we? Asked Hiruzen with an icy gaze. You may just survive as a Kage for long, Hiruzen. Do not fret, for I understand your concerns and have countermeasures in place should Naruto become a threat to either of us. We may have our differences but remain committed allies, assured Hanzo honestly. As long as we are on the same page on this, warned Hiruzen, before terminating the projection. The old Mizukage sighed as he opened a drawer from his desk to procure an old dossier. Opening it, the very first thing he saw was the picture of a teenage blonde boy dressed in Spartan uniform with all his details listed. He sealed the dossier inside a scroll, followed by summoning a hawk and attaching the scroll over its leg alongside a personalized self-destructive note. Deliver it to Operative Ghost in Kirigakure. Should Operative Fox show his true colors, she is to use this as part of Operation Clean House, he commanded calmly. The bird nodded before taking to the skies as the Mizukage walked towards the window with a cold smile present on his withered face. I hope you stay a true shinobi, Minato. Otherwise the last legacy of the Spartans shall die with you.